Just text, I know it's a toss up, but I hate the fact that we lost touch. Ayy, the Uber pulling up on call. Tell me, is you trying to fall through? I'ma leave it up to you. What you wanna do? Look, I'm trying to spend this time with you. Know we overdue. What you doing right now? Baby, won't you swing my way? It's been a day and I've been thinking out loud. I know I want you. Long time since the last time. Got a tab, we could run up. Knew you from the way, now we grown up. My look, yeah, made the realest ones nervous. But if you want it, tap in. I think that I know somewhere that we could go to crash land. We could keep the pace on slow jam. Don't leave me on red. Can we go back where we first began? No plans, all we had was the moment. Just text, I know it's a toss-up. Ashamed who I was, now I'm paid by the sentence. Taking my time with it. Baby, give me yours, so I could get them butterflies trapped in your ribcage. Let me know we on the same page. Hit me with a text, voice note, or an emoji. Waiting all day for your name on the ID. So if you want it, tap in. I think that I know somewhere that we could go to Cashland. And we could keep the pace on slow jam. Don't leave me on red. Can we go back where we first began? No plans, all we had was the moment. Just text, I know it's a toss-up. But I hate the fact that we lost touch. Yeah, the Uber pulling up on call. Tell me, is you trying to fall through? I'ma leave it up to you. What you wanna do? Don't prove me wrong, prove you right. Don't prove me wrong, prove you right. My word is bond, we don't spit no lies. A daughter of the sunshine, but every blue moon I come alive at night. I like living free in my mind. Moody. 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 Oh, you big Moody. I crave love and attention, but I keep everybody at a distance. If I build it, will y'all really come? Bought all these panties, but I really don't wear none. I like boys and I like girls, but I love my baby. Some may judge, but Emmanuel is still God within me. Yeah. I don't drink liquor, but it's something about a champagne toast. Still can't swim, but I sure could float. I rip the water parasite, but all the elements live rent free in my mind. Yeah. Moody. 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 I am on an endless journey through eternity.
It's the High Power Podcast. Lit conversations, debates, and advice that keep you turned up.
Hi, how are you all doing tonight? I chose to come on. It's been a while. It's been a while. I hope y'all been doing well. You know, it's a lot of stuff that has been taking place over the last month or so. And I decided to do my show a little late, you know, just, popping up and giving my thoughts on things that you may not have heard me give my thoughts on. I won't take too much of your time, so I will kind of say this and get on out the way. if you all are on TikTok, go ahead and come over to YouTube because I'll probably need to utilize my phone here to play some videos or whatever. So if you want to come check out the show, I'm on YouTube, the High Power Podcast, and I'll see you next time. All right. All right. So, yeah, I just thought I'd show my face and kind of give some commentary on some of the things that have taken place over the last month or so. And I'll start off with the most, evident topic, which would be Charlie Kirk. If you haven't seen me on TikTok, then you don't know what my point of view is. Uh, First, I would like to say rest in peace to Charlie Kirk. Okay, that was to me. I can't speak for y'all, but to me, a person who understands intellectualism, understands leadership, who understands being misunderstood, that was kind of devastating to me to have to watch that. I can't speak for you all. I'm the author of The Five Components of Love, and understanding what I understand about enlightenment and intellectualism and leadership, it's pretty devastating to watch. Um, I do believe that Charlie Kirk, like most people, just happened to be very misunderstood. And what I witnessed with that is I witnessed people cherry pick, twist words to fit a narrative so that they could fuel their the emotions that they already had. And I will say that humans do not have the ability to determine right from wrong, good from evil. Humans are unable to recognize good from evil. And the example that I love to always use when I speak about this is Thanos from the Avengers. Gamora in that movie, if you haven't seen the movie, I think you should see the movie. But Gamora, he found her when she was a child. And he had to basically destroy the planet that she was on. And he spared her life and he took her under his wing to teach her the mission and to, give her skills. She was resentful the entire movie. She was resentful the entire movie. Held a grudge her entire life. And the majority of Americans, or the majority of people who watched that movie, they all thought Thanos was the villain. They all perceived Thanos as the villain. And they go back and forth debating on whether Thanos was right or wrong. The fact that people can't see that Thanos was not the villain instantly, the fact that people were unable to see that Thanos was not the villain instantly tells you that humans are unable to perceive good from evil. Now, why do I think Thanos was not the villain? clues were left throughout the entire movie that Thanos was not the villain. And humans were not able to pick that up because humans base everything on their feelings and their emotions, which are often wrong. The number one indicator that Thanos was definitely the good guy was when he acquired the Soul Stone. If you didn't see any other part of the movie, if you just saw that one scene, that should have told you, oh, that Thanos was the good guy. His own daughter, stepdaughter, was unable to see that Thanos was the good guy. She spent her whole life with him. At the beginning, at the entrance of the place where you had to acquire the Soul Stone, right at the entrance, Thanos was met by somebody that was cursed to stay there for eternity. And why did he get cursed to stay there? He got cursed to stay there because he tried to acquire the Soul Stone. And he was unable to acquire the Soul Stone because he said, I was not able to possess something that I did not have. That right there told you that in order for you to possess the Soul Stone, you have to have a soul, number one. Number two, the requirement to get the Soul Stone, the second requirement is that you had to sacrifice something or somebody that you loved. Gamora spent her whole life angry at Thanos. She could not see that Thanos loved her. She didn't realize that he actually had a soul and that he actually loved somebody until she was over the cliff. Because he threw her off the cliff. And once he threw her off the cliff, that's when he was able to acquire the Soul Stone. But what did she say to him before he threw her off the cliff? Right? I do know Thanos killed the parents. See, this is what I'm saying. Y'all judge things based on your feelings. You know the chickens that you eat, they somebody parents or somebody babies. You know the little cows that you eat? Them little piglets that you eat? Right. But I guess you got a reason for that, don't you? So like I said, Thanos acquired the Soul Stone. If he didn't have a soul, he wouldn't have been able to acquire it. If he was not at the vibration of love, the frequency of love, he would not have been able to acquire the Soul Stone. That's the rule. I didn't make the rules. That was the rules. Right? But what did Gamora say to him before he threw her off the cliff? Ha! Gotcha! You've never loved anything or anybody your entire freaking life. That's what she said. Ha! Now you're not going to be able to get it. Oh, well. That's interesting. That's interesting. Because she spent her whole life with him. And she was not able to see love because she was so blinded by rage and anger because she had no understanding. Her feelings was clouding her judgment. She didn't realize that he actually did love somebody, which was her, until she was off the cliff. And once he threw her off the cliff, he acquired something that the other person who was banished there for eternity couldn't acquire. That was the first indicator that Thanos was the good guy. The next indicator, right? And by the way, before he threw her off, he told her, he said, I ignored my purpose the first time. I'm not going to let nobody get in the way of it this time. Not even you. Not even you. He said purpose. The next indicator that Thanos was the good guy was the fact that he won out of all the scenarios. There was about 44 million scenarios where Thanos was destined to win. And these folks made a movie about the one-off opportunity or chance that humans won. To win, for all of these scenarios to be in favor of Thanos, which was 44 million, tells you that it was a divine purpose that Thanos was sent on. But because you humans are so self-centered, you would be willing to destroy the entire world just to fulfill your selfish wants and desires. Because what was Thanos' purpose? To bring balance back to the universe. And when he ignored his purpose the first time, he warned everybody that they were going to destroy the planet. Because he didn't act the first time, he had to watch children starve to death. And they ended up destroying the planet and every inhabitant on it. You so caught up on the fact that he had to kill their parent, the girl parents, right? It was part of the mission for the overall purpose to bring balance back to the universe. To show you, number 3, that Thanos was the good guy, Thanos didn't make the people suffer. He put you through torture and having people break your legs and put you in gas chambers and none of that. No, he snapped his finger and you just blew away like sand. No pain, no suffering, just no existence. Humans are unable to see good from evil. You cannot see good and righteous people because you filter good and evil through your feelings, which are based on selfishness and greed. So you would rather, because this idea that you can make a perfect world where you get to have everything and nothing go wrong is delusional. It's delusional. You don't have the ability to see right from wrong. So when you judge people like Charlie Kirk, you actually don't have the mental capability to judge him righteously. You don't have the capabilities to judge anybody righteously because you don't know how to dissect intent, purpose, or behaviors because you're too emotional. So a lot of the things that Charlie Kirk was saying, I noticed that y'all took a lot of that stuff out of context because you live from a place of victimhood. You want to hear hate. You need to hear it so that you can feel bad so you can feel justified for being angry. And then out of this low-level energy, this hatred, this envy, this wickedness, you speak ills unto the world. You celebrate and glorify treachery because you want to feel vindicated for your anger. The filters on your eyes are totally clouded. And I like to use the Thanos and Avengers scenario or that all the time, because those are critical elements in that movie that would have shown you who the good guy and the bad guy was. And the fact that you couldn't see it, the humans were actually the bad guys. Because the humans did not care about human suffering. They only cared about having their loved ones around, just like the average human. You don't care about what environment a child is born into. You just want them born. You don't care if the parents can give them a quality of life. You don't care if they're born in the hood. You do not care. You just want to have them. And the same mentality that you have with just birthing children on the planet is the same lens of judgment that you use to watch that movie. And that same mentality that you use to judge people having children, to judge that movie, is the same lens that you use to judge people that you watch on social media, on TV. You don't have the ability to be a righteous judge of character. So the things that a lot of people were saying about Charlie Kirk was just so far off, because they judged the things that he was saying through the lens of a victim. So I want to play some of the things that Charlie actually said. Charlie was very rational. He was very rational and very logical. And 99% of the things that I heard him say, I was in 100% agreement with it. 100% agreement with it. And I'm going to tell you that not only did the left misunderstand him, the right misunderstood him. One thing about Charlie was, he said, they say he was MAGA, Make America Great Again. Charlie had his own version of Make America Great Again that differed from the cult. Charlie was in his own world, but the words he spoke triggered people with occult mentality. They were saying two different things. One thing you have to understand about this world is that humans do not have the ability to see the world the way it is. People filter words that they read through the lens of their own understanding. People filter what they hear through the lens of their own understanding. People don't read what you actually write, and people don't hear what you actually say. Because if I say something in black and white and I say it exactly the way I mean it, people will say, So what you saying is this? No, I said exactly what I said. You're filtering it through what you can comprehend, which is your own jacked up understanding. They don't hear what you say. So I want to play some of the things that Charlie said. Let's see. I want to start with, let me start with this.
Neither do I. Yes.
Make sure. I'm gonna start with this.
However, I do have a problem saying we're going to force you to live like the Amish. That's where we disagree.
No, I agree
well,
with you.
I'm saying, but where socialism has played out over the last 100 years.
Yes, some people have interpreted socialism
yes,
that
but so,
way, yes.
so for you, as a true socialist, you should go get a bunch of your buddies and friends, go out into the countryside and go live as socialists. See how long you last.
Would you be in favor of tax cuts and loopholes to people who want to start a worker cooperative and exist as a worker cooperative in a market?
I mean, I would give tax cuts for all people, but if they want to do that voluntarily in a market economy, knock yourself out.
Okay. So, we've agreed.
I think so. But here's the point. The question, will you, though, as a socialist, go out and live your value system? Will you go and, say, hey, I'm not going to own any stuff. 10 friends of I are going to go, we're going to grow our own
There's
food.
a difference between personal property and private property when it comes to socialist theory.
Okay, so, but...
Personal property is things like your toothbrush, your clothes. I would even go so far as to say your house.
Can I have two houses?
It depends.
It depends.
That's a
So
very
if I have a second house, you might just take it away.
That's a very complicated question that I necessarily don't really have an answer for you right now.
If you earned it, you get it. Not complicated. That's our view, right? You get what you earn. And the problem with socialism is that it is against my favorite word in the English language, earn. We believe that you should be able to receive what you earn.
No, I agree with you. As a socialist, I think you should be able to keep what you earn. Marx's critique was of the hyper-wealthy stealing the wages of hard-working people who are trying to earn.
Let me tell you what Marx got right, and then let me tell you where I think he was wrong, because I've actually read and studied Marx. Marx is correct that market forces can alienate people from their humanity. That he was very right about that.
Yep.
And you walk into like your average corporation, sometimes it's like the most soulless place you ever walk into. What he was wrong about, though, was the state of human nature. That we believe humanity, we as conservatives and Christians, we're generally not so good as human beings. Marx believed humans were really good and that we're being polluted and contaminated by the societal forces around us.
So I just want to pause it right there just for a second. Right there tells you instantly that his perception of Make America Great Again and conservatism is a little bit different than what the collective actually believes, right? Because he's a thinker. He's a thinker. The people that listen to this, they are not thinkers. Most Christians are not thinkers. But the fact of the matter is, because most Christians ain't read Karl Marx, they don't know the difference between socialism, communism, and any of these things. They really don't know. What is the key here? We believe that human nature is generally not good, which is true. I believe that. I believe that. Human nature is evil. So, what is conservatism? To conserve or to restrict your human nature. Liberalism, liberal means free. If you understand Latin-based languages, libre in Spanish means free. Liberal, lib, is about freedom. So to not restrict the nature of humans. So this is a battle between two principles. Okay? As a learned guy, as a study, that is the perspective that he's coming from. That's the perspective that he's speaking from. That's not what the people hear, though. That's not what the listeners hear.
Racism, misogyny, capitalism, all these forces are caused. We have to strip down all of these external forces, and we have to strip down the soulless place you ever walk into. What he was wrong about, though, was the state of human nature. That we believe humanity, we as conservatives and Christians, were generally not so good as human beings. Marx believed humans were really good, and that we're being polluted and contaminated by the societal forces around us. Racism, misogyny, capitalism, all these forces are caused. We have to strip down all of these external forces, and we'll be able to live as in wonderful harmony in the hills.
And I would agree with that.
Okay, and so we think that's insane, that human beings are naturally good. Secondly,
wait. Yeah, we think Mark's saying that he wasn't saying that people are naturally good once you remove all these things. The fact that racism, sexism, all these other isms exist is proof of the fact that humans, yes, do have a tendency towards evil, bad behavior.
Well, that's not what Rousseau believed. So Rousseau was the foundational baseline for Marx, right? So
Jean-Jacques Rousseau.
Yeah, Rousseau. So Rousseau was the one who argued that it's human beings that are naturally good, and we don't have a proclivity towards this stuff. And what we will agree is that there is a problem with widespread alienation of human beings and market forces. It's a big problem.
Yeah, and
it's
people are alienated by capitalism.
But not definitionally. Some people find a lot of purpose in their work, though. That's where I disagree with Marx.
Sure.
Is that some companies are able to create robust environments where people are happy and they're connected. It's not a fault of the system. It's a fault of some applications that happen in the system.
Okay, then we just disagree on our interpretations of Marx.
So I guess the final question, though, is you, as a socialist, can you point to a single time where this theory worked?
The Zapatistas in Mexico in 1991 when NAFTA went into effect.
How long did that last?
To this very day. It is still a region today.
And they don't own anything?
They collectively own their property.
Okay, I have to look at that example. I mean, I would point to the
Zapatistas. Rojava in Syria is an autonomous zone that has existed autonomously in spite of the Syrian civil war that's been going on there. And again, I would point to American and other businesses in other countries that function as worker cooperatives. That's socialism at work. Granted, they are in a capitalist.
We would say it's voluntarism. Yeah.
They are in a capitalist market.
How do you reconcile the Soviet Union, Chinese Communist Party, Pol Pot? How do you reconcile the failures of socialism last 100 years?
I just disagree with their interpretation of socialism. I don't think that you should wield authoritarian power in order to force people into socialism.
So here's what we believe, and we'll close on this. Every time it will be tried at scale, a very bad person will assume control under the guise of socialism and become a permanent dictator.
I disagree with the at scale.
But that's true. It's true. See, here's the thing. Okay, I would like to bang on my gavel. Order in the court. Order in the court, I said in the comment section. Okay. Let's stop arguing. And let's have some decorum. And like I said, this is the reason that humans will never, ever come together. Emotions. One thing about humans is if you say anything that make them mad, where they feel like they being attacked. They don't want to hear nothing else you got to say. You say one thing that they totally disagree with, and you marked as bad forever. Nothing that you say is worth listening to. This is humans, and this is why you will forever fight. You will forever fight, and eventually you will be wiped out. You will be permanent slaves because you can't come together on nothing. Black folks gonna have to realize at some point that you ain't got it together. Look at your communities. They're shit. Look at your behaviors. Is shit. Yeah. Do we have prejudice? Do we have racism? Yeah. You got a bunch of knuckleheads in everything. Right? Right? What I'm saying is this. Right? This is what I'm saying. Look, people so caught up in, I want to have my own opinion, and this is not an echo chamber. Listen, you can't even tell people that they in their feelings. Listen, let me tell you something. At the beginning, I said, rest in peace, Charlie Kirk. At the beginning, I said, rest in peace, Charlie Kirk, and I will show you why people have the perceptions that they do. If you can't be an adult, which most people cannot, because they have to be in their feelings, I'm telling you, right? If you don't want to hear about Charlie Kirk, then you don't have to watch the show. But arguing back and forth because you mad about somebody showing respect and speaking, listen, all you have to do is bow out. That's it. But you want people to know that you angry. You want people to know that you hateful. Fuck that man. I don't give a fuck. You want people to hear that. You want people to hear that. And as long as people have been on my channel, at some point, you have to realize that I've already spoke about love. The first component, which I switched it to the second component, is seek first understanding. Seek first understanding. And for people who have been here forever, I've been running this channel for 3.5 years. It's about to go on 4. And people have been here for that long. Some people have been here for that long and still have the inability to seek first understanding. They still have the inability to control and govern their emotions. And then you wonder why we about to be in a dictatorship. You wonder why your rights about to get taken away and y'all fighting each other and can't see the forest for the trees. Because you refuse to put your feelings aside and look at a different perspective. Right? Y'all so adamant about taking up for quote unquote black folks, yet when you go in your black neighborhoods, you scared for your life. You fear for your own life around your own people. But you so up in arms. Everybody, only black people, and even if black people say something about black folks, even if black folks say something about black folks, you get labeled a coon if you don't support degeneracy. If you don't support degeneracy, if you don't make them feel like victims, then you a coon. Never hold black folks accountable for nothing. And even if we say something as black folks, don't be another race and say the same thing. You don't have no right to say nothing about nobody. Listen, if you're on public display, everybody got the right to say what they see. One thing about black folks is they don't want to be accountable, just like women. So women collectively don't want to be held accountable. And then black folks don't want, no humans don't want to be held accountable. Racists don't like to admit they racist. Misogynists don't like to admit that they are misogynist. Women don't like to admit that they freak hoes and abusive to their kids. Women, you wonder why humans ain't never gonna get it. And you wonder why you about to be a digital slave. You wonder why you finna be a digital slave. It's coming. It's absolutely coming. Because we refuse. We refuse to use our brains and get in control of our emotions and logically analyze some things. Listen, I'm not your cup of tea if all you want to do is be in your feelings. This is one of the reasons why you ain't seen me in about a month and a half. This is one of the reasons you ain't seen me over here in a month and a half. Because you refuse to grow. You refuse to show that you have elevated. We can't ever have a just intelligent conversation without the bickering and the arguing and the mess. Get ready to upload your digital ID. Get ready to be in a digital prison. And this was the final straw right here. This was what they needed. This Charlie Kirk situation, exactly what they needed. You know, humans, you can play humans like a fiddle. It's easy to play humans. It's easy to pit them up against each other. It's easy to manipulate human nature. Get ready to be on lockdown. The hate is blinding you. Your hatred is blinding you, is preventing you from evolving mentally and emotionally. Speaking of IQ, somebody just put Americans read and comprehend. Americans read and comprehend at or below a 6th grade level. And it never ceases to amaze me when they prove, right, that's where they at. When they prove that's where they are. IQ tests for pattern recognition. IQ test for pattern recognition. Americans have a national average of 97, which falls 3 points below the global average of 100. So, talking to Americans about anything serious is always going to be met with emotional resistance, because Americans don't have the ability to tap into their logical thinking. It's all emotionalism. I would like that if we can be adults for once. You never got to be an adult ever again in your life. Ever in your life again after tonight's show. You can go back to being a child, throwing a temper tantrum after this show. But if you're going to be on this show, I would ask and challenge you to act like an adult with emotional control, right? For once, Get out of your own feelings and try to see something from a different perspective. Try to actually be here to learn something. Right? I don't know if you ever came to anybody's show with to be challenged to listen to learn, as opposed to showing up hoping that somebody feeds your anger, hoping that somebody just panders to you. Have you ever been challenged to think and grow? Have you? You show up hoping that I'm going to entertain you and not teach you. Get ready to be in the damn soup line. I hope you know how to protect yourself, since you can't get over yourselves. Goodbye.
Argue that our modern library systems are also examples of socialism.
Wrong.
You literally come.
Someone's in charge.
I can literally walk into Hodge's library over here, check out a book for free, and they trust me to come
First
bring
of all,
it back.
it's not free. Someone paid for that book. It's called the taxpayers, so it's not free. The building has to be built. Someone has to pay for the plumbing and pay for the electricity, pay for the heating. Someone has to pay for the workers. Number two, if there is a disagreement within the library and you steal the book, what happens? You don't check out in the right process. You have an overdue fine, so there's a cost to it. You see, the library is actually a very capitalist system, because if you don't rewind the old VHS
there's some
tapes...
librarians who say that overdue fines actually don't even work, and they don't even provide really good incentive
nevertheless,
for people to
they
bring
still
back their
exist.
books.
But the point, if you would say the library is a hallmark of socialism, the librarian is still in charge. I'm going to get to the next question. Thank you very much.
Neither do I.
So, we know human nature. You gotta make humans do things. Humans don't have a good honor system. If you put humans on an honor system, they're going to show you why there's no honor among thieves, right? So you got to make sure you got to make sure you either charge them or put them in jail, right? If they go and borrow a book, capitalism is probably by far one of the best systems. Any system that you try is going to fail. Do you understand? Any system that you try is going to fail. Why? Because human nature is flawed. Human nature is inherently flawed. And the only purpose of human beings is to live in the jungle type style and reproduce. That's it. Anything else that you create out of that is not foraging, right? And living like that, anything outside of that is prone to fail. Capitalism is prone to fail. Socialism is prone to fail. There is no utopia. That's the part that humans have to understand. There is no utopia. You cannot please everybody. In every system, somebody is going to get the shit end of the stick. In socialism, people who have stronger work ethic and have more talent, more skills, they end up getting screwed. Just like in communism. You get screwed. Because see, now you got to divvy out your wealth to somebody who is less capable than you. So everybody ends up, you get punished for actually exceeding. All this stuff is going to fail. Capitalism is about the only thing that allows you to succeed and excel based on your own merit. Yeah, of course you have people handpicking and pulling people up, but If you had free market capitalism, that would have been the best system. But we don't live in a free market capitalist society. We don't live in that. We live in Big Brother corporation, big game, where the corporations come in and shut down small businesses. Free market capitalism would actually put more power in the hands of the people to base it on skill and production on a grassroots level, right? But when you create corporations that come in and shut out the small guy, this is when you have the illusion of free market capitalism. We live in an illusion of free market capitalism, okay? Because one company owns multiple companies, giving the illusion of competition when there is no competition because they own both companies. With free market capitalism, there is no conglomerate. There's real competition that allows the economy to grow based on the small guys, small businesses. That's how that should be. Now, if you're looking for a utopia where everybody's happy, you're not going to get that. Because the fact of the matter is this: your ass got to work, especially if we talk about free market capitalism. This means you actually have to work harder. Do you understand? In true free market capitalism, you would have to work harder. You would have to have more responsibility. That would be closer to nature than what we live in right now. This is destined to blow up. This is a bubble that's eventually going to burst. Now, if you live like the natives, you don't make no progress. If you live like the natives or the indigenous, you don't actually make progress. Why don't you make progress if you live like a matriarchy? Because a matriarchy will typically be based around nature. Everybody being able to have sex with each other. You draining all your sexual energy just by doing what nature say do, right? And you don't actually build infrastructure to progress forward. You spend your time being in community, sharing food, doing all that stuff. You live closer to like jungle life. You don't actually build what you have here. The restriction of sex energy is what allows this stuff to be built. So if you live, any system that you try to create has a con. This is the part that a lot of people don't understand. Any system that you try to build, any choice that you make is always going to have a downside. You all are looking for a world, to create a world that don't have a downside. That's the problem. Okay, with communism is more authoritarian, right? And ain't no private property, ain't no individual ownership, nothing. Ain't no competition. Communism is against capitalism. That is a world where you're going to be totally restricted, kind of like North Korea. You ain't happy with that, right? You all talk about wanting free healthcare, universal healthcare and stuff like that. That's more of a socialist practice. That's a socialist practice. But a lot of y'all are looking to have your cake and eat it too. But socialism is the precursor to communism. Because the thing that makes a socialist state, right, is the ability to vote Democratic and Republican. So we don't actually live in a republic like this was started in the United States. We ended up in a socialist setup. And the only reason that you don't have universal health care, right, is because they ain't want black folks to have it, right? So I just need you to understand that you ain't got but a few options. A utopia ain't one of them, right? A utopia is not one of them, right? And I want you to understand that no system, every system that you find yourself in, you're going to be complaining about it. Every system that you find yourself in, you're going to be complaining about it. You're complaining about one that's actually been working for you pretty well. And the reason that you're complaining is because you don't have a good worldview. You don't actually know when you're privileged. So you complaining about things when you actually in abundance. You actually in abundance. You need to really actually understand the differences in these worlds and these setups. And you have to realize there is no perfection. You're going to have to pick a battle. And pick the one that gives you the best outcome. You all think that everybody else is doing better. Trust me, every world that you think is better, those people don't have freedoms and liberties like you do. Remember, Yuri Bezmenov said that once the communists take over this, ain't no place, there's nowhere else on planet Earth to defect to. He defected from the Soviet Union to come over here. He said this is the last free place on Earth. After the United States falls, there is nowhere else to defect to. This idea that somebody else, another country got it better, is a falsehood. Because you looking through rose-colored lenses. Because you complaining about the things that you have because you don't actually know anything about any other country. So you complaining now. You really finna get ready to be complaining soon. You really finna get ready to be complaining soon. And y'all talking about being in community. All you do is abuse each other. All you do is abuse each other. You don't listen. You take things out of context to fuel your anger, to keep up mess. You don't try to find ways to resolve conflict. You try to find ways to keep it going. You don't look for reasons to like people. You look for reasons to dislike people. When you listen to people, you're listening not to learn nothing, you listening to see yourself in that person. You listening to hear your own thoughts in that person. And the moment that you don't hear you anymore, that's when you stop liking them. That's when you can't screw with them no more. How you gonna live in community and harmony when you think like that? How can you live in peace and harmony when you process the world like that? This is why you have terrible relationships. with your significant others. You can't get along with your children. And somehow you think that's good. You think it's good. Humans, I want you to understand that every world that you see yourself in, it is simply because you created the world. These leaders are run by you. It's you dictate the behaviors of the leaders, not the other way around. You know that, right? You, as the general population, you dictate how the people at the top move. As long as you act the way that you act, and unfortunately you can't help yourself, because the people at the top understand your nature. You don't understand your own nature. Since you can't control your own nature and they understand your nature, then they move and flow with you. They move and flow with you. They give you stimuli. You show them how you gonna move and they adjust. Don't believe it? Look at Jimmy Kimmel. They was gonna ban Jimmy Kimmel indefinitely until everybody start canceling all their Disney trips and subscriptions. Sinclair, which owns like 193 stations, even though Disney and ABC was gonna put them back on, they say, we gonna ban Kimmel indefinitely. We ain't playing it. Shoes, Kimmel got 6.9 million views and Sinclair had to backtrack. You, as humans, dictate the behavior of the people in power. Since you have no ability to control yourself, you give the power of the elites to control you. And humans don't realize that they out of pocket. You out of pocket. And you need a handler. You need a handler. And everything that you doing is against the plans of the elites, and it's against the environment. It's against everything. You can't get along with each other, but you finna need each other to sleep on each other's couch. You about to need to share food and all of that. And you still can't get out your feelings to see from somebody else's perspective. Let me let you in on a little secret. They about to get ready to do another government shutdown. And in the process of that government shutdown, it's going to be thousands of more jobs that's going to be wiped out. Artificial intelligence is moving very quickly. And AI needs water. They heavily depend on water, which is a resource that humans absolutely need. They said a long time ago that the next wars will be fought over water. Humans, you keep having babies, and that's all you care about. You don't care if those babies suffer. You do not care about how they live, right? You just want them born here. Well, You about to be fighting over water because these machines need water. And you don't have no jobs or no purpose on this planet. So what are you gonna do? What you think they gonna do? What you think the next move is? If you got a whole bunch of humans that have no purpose for being here, and once humans don't have nothing to do, what do humans do? They screw and have more babies, and they start being violent, and they start stealing and committing more crimes. This is what happens. In order to regulate the population, when that happened, what you think got to happen? What you think got to happen? The next logical step, population reduction. Population reduction is common sense. It's common sense. What is your value on this planet? What is your purpose on this planet? Instead of looking for somebody to save you, you need to start concerning yourself with saving yourself. But to save yourself is going to require a level of intellectualism that a lot of people do not have. It is going to require a level of discipline and willpower that a lot of people do not have. I'm not the only one saying anything about not having faith in humans. Charlie Kirk also said that too. Charlie also said that too.
You're living through a moment where this is the most consequential historical climax, like since the American Civil War. That's not BS. That's not spin. Yeah, this is even. Yeah, this is. I mean, like 1776 Tea Party. Yeah.
We're having that moment right now.
Yeah, and it's a question, right? And I have no idea if we're going to win or not. So yeah, you have a thought?
Why don't we go on the offense?
We're trying, man. That's a good question.
I like what you're the only one that I see.
Well, it's because thank you, and I'm not the only one. But let me tell you why. By the grace of God, I am not in federal prison. By the grace of God, I'm not indicted. That's not a joke. That's what these people do. Okay. Well, look, you're right, and I pray for me every day, and you should, because there's only a few of us that actually play offense. James O'Keefe plays offense. Yes. But what happened to him?
Yeah, what happened? Right.
Yeah.
They removed him from his organization. He's under criminal investigation by the FBI and the Westchester DA. Steve Bannon plays offense. He's going to go to federal prison next month.
Right.
Tucker Carlson plays offense. They took him off air.
Right.
Any player that plays, Donald Trump plays offense. He's facing 600 years in federal prison. That's why we don't play offense. How about this? We have 16 literally amazing senior citizens that have done such good for our country in Michigan that are facing the rest of their life in prison because they signed a document to become an alternate elector. To become an alternate elector. Most people don't even know about this story. This story was buried. I'm going to talk about this tonight. These are 16 senior citizens. I'll tell you about Rose Rook, 81 years old, from Paw Paw, Michigan. She signed a piece of paper to become an alternate elector, her constitutional right with historical precedent. She's facing 120 years in federal prison. 81 years old, she has $30,000 to her name, and her husband died 10 years ago. And the Michigan AG is trying to show her as a domestic terrorist. She can't defend herself. The whole weight of the world is, the cruelty is the point. We are dealing with savages. This is not normal. This is ultra-revolution time. Like, they are eating the country from within. The problem is they preempt us against offense, but that is not an excuse. We all have to play offense. We have to take the initiative. But here's the thing, we are not good offensive players. I'll prove it to you.
That's absolutely correct.
Because conservatives definitionally are defensive. We are conserving against their offense, right? So like by our temperament is to build businesses and churches and be agreeable. Our temperament, we don't think like revolutionaries. Well, we got to change that.
Some of us do.
I know, but
It's not enough.
My next book is literally called Right Wing Revolution. Like, I'm trying to make people think in a way where we're trying to stop their refounding of America. Here's the good news. If you want like the good news of all this, the founders have given us this unbelievable opportunity. The fact that we still have some semblance of a constitution gives us hope. Like, if we did not have the founders, God bless them. Like, I'll give you an example, the Electoral College. If it was not for the Electoral College, this is game, set, match, we're done. Now we have a chance, right? A collection of states. It's still going to be very hard, right? But there's still hope, is what I'm saying. There's a roadmap. The founders saw this. They were like, we're going to make it really hard, not impossible, really hard to destroy this place, right? They put so many checks and balances in that think about how much we've survived, right? The fact that we still have fight, and honestly, it's a gift from Madison, Hamilton, and Jay of how they saw this, right? Like that, I tell people, the North Star is our founding fathers. The North Star is our own documents. The North Star is the Declaration of the Constitution. Like, that's what we're trying to get back to. We're trying to defend that. I want to win. No, but I want to win. But why do you think we will win?
I believe in the spirit of the human, just the humanness of that. We will step up when we have to step up.
So this is so interesting. I totally disagree because, and let me tell you, I got in a debate with an atheist. So he and it ties to this. Like, he said, okay, Charlie, I can't believe in God after the Holocaust. And I said, I can't believe in humanity after the Holocaust. I said, I still believe in God. I've lost all faith in humans. So I want you to think about that, right? I have zero faith in humanity.
But look what humans did to Christ.
Yes, I mean, they didn't stop Mao, they didn't stop Hitler, they didn't stop Mussolini, they didn't stop, I'm not saying, you might be right. Now
I'm an optimist.
But I am too, but I don't do hopium, right? I don't do hope and opium feels good, it's really bad for you. I'm right in the middle. I'm like, we could win triumphantly, or this could get really bad. And I'm just being honest. Like, I don't think what I'm getting at, and we're having fun.
He ain't the only one that don't have hope in humans, right? Because most humans are cowards, right? Most humans are cowards. All right? They ain't standing up to nothing. They ain't standing up to nothing, especially not Americans, not these spoiled brats. Americans will fight each other, but they won't fight a threat to all their lives. They won't. It's simple as that. Right?
Right? I don't think our victory is inevitable. I don't.
We'll have to work for it.
Yeah, and rededicate everything. And by the way, that last paragraph of the Declaration, I think, just rings in our soul. Our lives, our fortune, and our sacred honor. That's everything. Right? And we are not at a place where Americans are willing to do that. Right?
Yes, we are.
No, we're not. Well, you are, but it takes 3 to 5%. If you can get to 3 to 5%, you can save the country. So that's the good question, right? Are we there? I'm not being pessimistic. I'm being real, right?
But what's the method?
What is this?
That's what's missing. I watch shows and books, and what's the?
Well, all of the above. All the above. You have to, first and foremost, politics is a vector, right? California's in a different spot. I'll be honest. The all-out, like, weak-kneed, spineless red states, you would, if you came in and you did not know the composition of this country, you would think Democrats control like every governor's mansion, every AG. What is the method? The method is Oklahoma, Kansas, South Dakota, South Carolina, Arkansas start acting the way the blue states act. I've said this publicly, I'll say it again. We need Republican AGs indicting every major Democrat across the board. We need DAs starting to indict. That's not going to happen because they don't want it bad enough.
That's right.
They're a bunch of Mike Pences. This is what gives me hope, though. What gives me hope is that the actual rank and file of the Republican base is like on fire, energized. Like, I can't stay ahead of my audience. Like, I do this for 3 hours a day, and they're better researched than I am, and I do this for like 18 hours. Like, they're sending me articles of like WHO treaties and like, did you know about like Obama repealing the propaganda? It is the most informed audience I've ever dealt with. That's like a massive shot in the arm of optimism, right? That shows that good things are happening. What drives me nuts, and we got to change it, is our leaders are so disconnected from the voters. And California is its own thing. Let's just talk about.
So, somebody asked in the comments, somebody say, would I have rather gone through my trials and tribulations or had my mother abort me? Why do y'all think non-existence is the worst thing? If I wasn't here, my soul would be living it up somewhere else in the ether, not having to struggle, not being born into a prison planet. Why y'all think non-existence is the worst thing that could happen? You would rather be here to have a slimmering chance that maybe you're going to be able to get a piece of bread than just not existing at all. And that mentality is what allows you to bring children in the world, the way you bring them in the world. See, you don't care. You don't actually care about this, do you? So you cool with that? So you cool with this? Extremely malnutrition newborn. You would just bring children here in any situation and not care. You cool with this? Just take a look. Anything to get y'all's rocks off and just bring babies here under any circumstances. You don't care. And then, even though the chances of you being uber wealthy and happy and peaceful is slim, you'll still say, get them a chance. Get them a chance at what? Absolute suffering? They absolutely gonna suffer. Right? Most folks ain't got my willpower and my mentality. Y'all, you all are failing in a system where you could succeed. You're complaining every day. You got welfare and you still complaining. You don't care about life. You don't. And that's the sad part about it. That's the sad part about it. So sad. Now let's see. Check the Kirk video.
We have to be honest, Black America is not doing well today. Talk about the damage of the welfare state and how MLK's narrative and political activism led to the modern welfare state.
Let's pause right there. Now, Black folks don't like to hear no other race talk about this. But even Martin Luther King admitted that he led his people into a burning building. Right? He admitted that he led his own people to a burning building. And if you have ever been pro-black, then you should have been able to scrutinize what the leaders did wrong. And you should know about that. Malcolm X talked about the Democratic Party. Martin Luther King admitted, because Martin Luther King got taken out right when he started shifting his perspective to Malcolm X's perspective. Once Martin Luther King started talking like Malcolm X, that's when he got taken out. You didn't know that? When he started talking about economics, that's when he got taken out. Now, black folks can say this, but let a white person say it and they racist. Let Charlie say it and he racist. Charlie said that black folks was better off after slavery. I don't know why you're mad about that, because I've been saying that shit for 15 years. I've been saying that very thing for 15 years. Why was black folks better off after slavery? See, after slavery, black folks had a bunch of skills, and they just came out of great deprivation, which meant that they had a lot of energy to do for themselves, and they had a lot of skill. What was working in their benefit at that time was segregation, because segregation forced them to use their skills to build something for themselves. That's a fact. Black Wall Street was created in an inorganic situation where they were forced to do for themselves. After segregation, that's when shit took a downturn for black folks. That's when things started to go downhill for you. They fought and lost their lives to give you the privilege for education, to read, to write. Privileged people don't know they privileged. The things that your ancestors fought for, where they lost their lives, they paid the price for you to do the things that you are doing today. And they would all be turning over in their graves. Every time Martin Luther King's birthday come around, he on a flyer with a do-rag, some alcohol, and some hoes. That's the homage you pay to the ancestors. The homage that you pay to the ancestors is to not know how to read and write. To not want to do for yourself. That's the homage that you pay. Now, as black folks, addressing black folks, we could either say that and be seen as trying to help the community, or we could say that and be seen as coons. So you either a coon or a racist for seeing that.
Yeah, David.
Talk about the damage of the welfare state and how MLK's narrative and political activism led to the modern welfare state.
Yeah, David Garrow, again, he wrote about this in his book. Patrick Moynihan wrote this great study called The Moynihan Report. It was legendary. Patrick Moynihan proved that welfare was destroying the black family. He saw that black men were working, but the family was being more destroyed and more people were getting on welfare. And he said what's happening is these young girls that are getting pregnant aren't getting married anymore. So he told LBJ, we got to cut this out or the black family is going to be destroyed. So he said, what we need to do is take the federal government and put the black man back in charge of his family. LBJ was all for it. But LBJ, being the politician, said, you got to go and sell this to the civil rights community. So McGeorge Bundy was over the Ford Foundation at that time. He told Moynihan that we are sponsoring a retreat for the civil rights community. Come with me down there and present your findings to them. McGeorge Bundy, Moynihan went down there, met with Martin Luther King Jr. and the members of the civil rights community. According to David Garrow, McGeorge Bundy said it's a wonder Moynihan got out of that room alive. They called him everything but a child of God, cussed him out, called him a racist. Moynihan goes back to LBJ and said, man, these people are crazy. We can't have nothing to do with them. LBJ said we got to do what they said do. They came back and met with LBJ, and the feminists in the movement said, instead of taking the federal government to put the man back in charge of his family, we need to use it to get the man out because marriage is just like slavery. And instead of putting and fixing the welfare state where women could get welfare if they got married, they changed it to where if they caught a man in the house, she could get no help. And in one generation, the black community went from 80% of their children in wedlock to 80% being born out of wedlock. And they put the man in-house clause in welfare, and it destroyed the black family.
So, that's interesting because on this channel, we went over the Universe 25 experiment by John Calhoun several times. And what they did with the mice is they gave them everything. They took them out of their natural habitat and gave them everything. And what did they do? All they did was reproduce. Remember Timothy from the CBS report? Man, I ain't finna stop my pleasures because of no woman. She could have a baby or she could get rid of it. Well, what if you don't take care of it? Oh, yeah, welfare gonna give them a stipend. So whatever I'm not doing, you know the government gonna do. Well, what if the government don't do it? Shit, this is gonna be a big disaster, I guess. You remember that? You remember that? So, free market capitalism, where the community is run by small business, which means that you would have to have value. You have to have responsibility and be able to produce. That's a lot of responsibility. In order to live like that, you would have to live under a republic, not a democratic state. You would have to live under a republic, and you would have to be more conservative, right? You would have to have more of a blend between the two to run a free market capitalism. Welfare made you lazy. And that welfare state is very, very close to kind of like a matriarchy. Very, very close to nature in a bowl with somebody feeding you. Black folks don't want to be told that they got to get up and do more. They don't want to be told that. They don't want their freebies taken away. But the fact of the matter is, the freebies are hurting you. And that's why Martin Luther King said, I fear that I've led my people into a burning building. That's what he said. You have to understand that when you run the government, or you trying to, if you somebody coming up like Charlie Kirk and you trying to make a statement, the fact of the matter is, you 13% of the population, black folks, can't nobody ignore the fact that you're there. You have to be included in the conversation if we're talking about, if his point of view is make America great again, and his idea of make America great again is more logical and rational than actual MAGA, the cult, because these two different things. Charlie was in his own world. And speaking on this overall thing, you got to be included in the conversation. And this is a reality discussion that affects your communities. You ain't running it. Somebody asked me before I got on here, they was like, what I'm gonna talk about? I didn't really say exactly what I was talking about. And they gonna say, well, talk about Cardi B. Cardi B? Why the hell am I talking about Cardi B? Because this the most important crap to black folks. Drama. For play, rappers, entertainers. You're not having these conversations about what you need to do to fix your communities. These are not the conversations you're having.
Martin Luther King Jr.'s fingerprints were all on it. And Ralph Abernathy wrote, "And the walls came tumbling down." He said that in the late 70s, he went to the black people in the civil in Congress and showed them how welfare was destroying the black community, how it was keeping 3 generations of black people in poverty. And Ralph Abernathy wrote this in his book. He said, and something curious happened. It pleased them to have 2 and 3 generations of black people locked in poverty because that's how they could control them. Ralph said that they were pushing segregation because this is how they could keep all black people in the inner city and could keep their positions of power in government. And that's when Ralph Abernathy said that he supported Ronald Reagan for president in 1980. So it's always been part of their job to keep black people poor, ignorant, under their control, and voting for the Democrat Party. In my first book, The Iron Triangle, I said that the black preacher, the black politician, and the black civil rights worker are conduits between rich white liberals and the Democrat Party, and their job is to do one thing: make sure that the black community votes for the Democratic Party by hook or by crook. And they've been doing it well for the last 40, 50 years. They want to tell black people that white conservative Christians are their enemy. No, the white liberal is your enemy. The white conservative Christian will do nothing to hurt or harm you. It is that white liberal, like Malcolm X says, that is the enemy of all mankind.
And black folks don't even know that they originally were Republicans. Black folks was originally Republicans. Some sinister stuff took place that made you start voting Democrat. But originally, black folks was Republicans. Malcolm X was even talking about the liberals. The reality is black folks don't know where they stand. They don't know where they going, and they really don't know where they came from either. But black folks then got so accustomed to the narrative, to the way of life, partying and living off the privileges that these people, your ancestors, paid in their life for you to have. You pissing this shit away. And now you don't want to actually hold the responsibility of being a Republican, a conservative, because this requires you to straighten up your act. This requires you to grow up a little and handle your business. Handle yourself. That's the reality. Now, you have to learn how to take principles and separate them from people's natural habit of grouping up into gangs and creating cult-like narratives. You have to be able to separate principle from people's cultish, gang-like behaviors. And I don't think people understand how to do that. Because when you think about Republican and you think about conservative, you don't think about principles and ethics that stand separately from the actual human and their behaviors. You group them together and you start judging these principles based on how ignorant people behave. Remember, Americans read and comprehend at or below a 6th grade level. These people are doing identity politics. White folks, if you have to be honest, a lot of white folks are not smart. That's just a reality. Why are they not smart? Because white folks don't know where they stand. And the reason why white folks don't know where they stand is because white people do not understand that they are not a part of the elite. The bourgeoisie, the elite class, had to do something to separate the bottom. The blacks and the whites at the bottom, the Irishman and the African, okay, had to separate them at the bottom. They pride themselves on having the same skin color as the people who run the farm. Because of that, white people vote against their own interest. They actually don't know how to vote for themselves. This is why they are going through the things they're going through now with losing their farms, losing their jobs. They don't realize that they in the same boat as everybody else. And if you listen to a lot of white folks who voted against their own interests, they will tell you that they're not educated. They'll tell you out their own mouth they wasn't educated. A lot of people in Arkansas that voted. No education. So you all start to separate yourself from principles by judging the principles on the behavior and the group think mentality of dumb people. I believe everybody got privilege. Yeah, I believe in white privilege. I also believe it's black privilege too. I believe there's male privilege. I believe there's female privilege. I believe everybody has a privilege that they're blind to, at least over here. Everybody has a privilege that they're blind to. Black folks swear to God that they in the worst situation ever. Yet they not living like a lot of people in other countries. You not living like your ancestors. You're a coward and a weakling compared to your ancestors. You are a straight up coward and a weakling. You couldn't survive. Everybody has a privilege that they're blind to. And the only thing that y'all can do is focus on what you don't have as opposed to what you do have. You focus on what you don't have as opposed to what you do have. You're ungrateful. We got a person disagreeing, yet you ain't drinking no water that's yellow, are you? You are not drinking water that ain't been cleaned, are you? How much you weigh? I bet you ain't missing no meals. What's up, Byron? You ain't missing no meals, are you? See, privileged people are blind to the privileges that they have. They only know how to complain about what they don't have. Listen, in nature, you would die. Most of y'all too weak to survive. In nature, you would die. See? And I wonder, how much you ain't missing no meals? Huh? You ain't missing no meals? Whether you are normal weight or overweight, you ain't malnutrition, are you? I bet you got snacks right there that you can go eat right now. People are so hell-bent on comparing themselves to people that have more than them or people who have something that they want that you never compare yourself to people who would be happy and blessed to be in your position. You never do that. You never do that. So all you know how to do is whine and complain. But you're not getting sprayed with hoses to walk into whatever school you want to go to. Ain't nobody harassing you with dogs, sending a whole group of people to spit on you for walking into school, trying to integrate. You didn't have to go through that. You didn't have to go through that. You wasn't born in a time where you was forced to be married and not able to have a bank account. You're ungrateful. You're ungrateful. Everybody got something that they have to overcome. Everybody got an obstacle. Everybody has something that people don't like or are prejudiced against. Point blank, period. All you can think about is woe is me, woe is me, woe is me.
They're atheists, they're Marxists, they're full of hate and envy, and they use people for power. And they get some type of weird charge out of seeing pain. They have to kill people, they have to harm people. The greatest trick the devil ever played on mankind was to convince us that he no longer exists. The devil exists and he rests his head at the DNC. That's where he lays his head. That's where he puts all of his clothes. He lives there. And these are the evilest people ever walked the face of this earth. And they use MLK and all of those perverts with him. There's a chapter in my book, 25 Lies. One of the lies is that the civil rights leaders were moral people. They were not. James Bevel, the guy that was in control of all of the marching and all of the organizing. James Bevel went to jail for raping his daughters. You saw what Jesse Jackson did after a king got assassinated. He slipped away, got a T-shirt, put fake blood on it, went on every TV show the next day and said he held Martin Luther King Jr. while he died, saying, "Dr. King, can you hear me? Dr. King, can you hear me?" And that Dr. King told him to take over the civil rights movement. Yeah, that's what Jesse Jackson did. This is, and Ralph Abernathy wrote about it, and the walls came tumbling down. He wrote about what Jesse Jackson did and told how they felt about it. Yeah, when you start talking about Bayard Rustin, went to jail for having sex with two men in a parked car. He was a communist. You can go on down the line, and you'll find that all of these guys, something was wrong with them. They would have orgies with 20 men and 20 women in a hotel room.
That's a fact. Listen, that's a fact. Remember when I told y'all that I used to follow this guy named Emmanuel who ran a online journal for like 15 years? And this man was on the DL when he started it. He had a wife and 2 kids, and he was screwing men all the way up and down the East Coast, right? Married men, military men, doctors, lawyers, NFL players, you name it. he interviewed one guy who his mother had got pregnant with him from a Negro League player that had came in town. To make a long story short, in the late 50s, early 60s, at 13 years old, basically him and his teacher started getting it on. His teacher was a male basketball coach who was married to the math teacher, which was a woman up there. So the male coach was screwing this 13-year-old boy, basically. He was just giving them blowjobs. So basically, he would go over to the house, work off some stuff, and that coach had bought him a pair of Converse. He was telling the story about how all the men in the town would get together and have orgies every weekend. Salesmen, preachers, teachers, the whole nine. And he was like the wife knew about it. That's why he wasn't surprised with what's that Bishop Eddie Long. He said he wasn't surprised about Bishop Eddie Long because they had been doing that. Even in the 60s, they was doing it. Having orgies at the house every Saturday night. You're dealing with humans. No matter what party you choose, the fact of the matter is humans in it. You need to be able to separate principle and ethics from human behavior. What the humans do when they click up and group up with their natural prejudices, their natural ego patterns, is separate from principle. These two don't coincide. When you think about whites and Republicans, you think about racism and KKK, but that's not the principles of conservatism. That's not the principles, and that's the reason why Charlie Kirk ended up getting on top of a racist. This is why I can tell you that Charlie Kirk lived in his own world. His definition of make America great again was totally different from the cult. Charlie Kirk lived in his own world of make America great again. It was different than the cult of MAGA. Let me let this finish, and then we're going to listen to the other clip of Charlie getting on these races.
Get drunk. David Garrow wrote about this situation where Dr. King and Clara Ward, the black gospel singer, bought this white prostitute named Gail, took her up to a hotel room. Dr. King called one of his pastor friends, saying, "Man, I got this white girl, come on, let's have some fun." And Gail told the FBI about how they ran trains on her all night long, how they were drunk, and it was the worst orgy she'd ever been in. This man is supposed to be saving prostitutes. This man is supposed to be healing them and freeing their souls. This man is supposed to be baptizing every communist, every socialist, every atheist that came around Martin Luther King Jr. was supposed to have been changed. Instead, he was engaging in the foul behavior. And now look at the black community. At the bottom of every socioeconomic statistic in the world. Why? Because we followed a bunch of liars, hypocrites, and psychopaths.
We have to be honest.
That's a fact. I mean, it really is. It really just is what it is.
What does it mean to be an American? Is it an idea or a history, a shared history, or is it a skin color?
Well, I mean, you could go back to the original founding fathers, the Immigration Act of, I believe it was.
What does it mean to be an American? Is it a skin color or something else?
So there's the current idea of what it means according to, the Hart-Celler Immigration Act and, all this bullshit that you guys spew. But if you go back to the original founding fathers, they intended this to be a European nation for white men of good stock and character. Yeah.
So, can you show me, let me answer the question. Can you show me where in the United States Constitution it says that?
It wasn't in the Constitution.
It wasn't in the Constitution because they didn't believe it.
The founding...
You, sir, they did not put it in the United States Constitution. Let me answer another question. Let me ask you another question since you support. Allow him to have the mic. Let me ask you another question,
founding
sir.
fathers wrote many
what
other
does the
documents
phrase,
other than the United
sir,
States Constitution, and they made it explicitly clear that
what
they
does the
believe-
phrase "e pluribus unum" mean? What does the phrase "e pluribus unum" mean?
Why is that relevant?
Because it was on every founding
the founding
document and
fathers
presidential
wrote
seal
a
from our
litany of
founding.
Oh, this one time. This what I mean. This is exactly what I mean. Charlie was intelligent. Charlie was educated. These people who are MAGA are not. Charlie had his own world of what conservatism meant. It was not the same as what dumb MAGA people believe. They ain't smart. Asked him what that mean, and this fool gonna say, what that got to do with anything? I mean, why you ask me that? That ain't got nothing to do. Cause it's on every document. I mean, Charlie was intelligent. And he's being judged based on the cult members.
Which means out of many, one. You, sir, and your ideology is not conservative. It is right-wing, identitarian. It has no place in the conservative movement, my friend. Get out of line. Get out of line.
Start that over? Start that over?
I want to ask a question of you. What does it mean to be an American? Is it an idea or a history, a shared history, or is it a skin color?
Well, I mean, you could go back to the original founding fathers, the Immigration Act of, I believe it was.
What does it mean to be an American? Is it a skin color or something else?
So there's the current idea of what it means according to, the Hart-Celler Immigration Act and, all this bullshit that you guys spew. But if you go back to the original founding fathers, they intended this to be a European nation for white men of good stock and character. Yeah.
So, can you show me, let me answer the question. Can you show me where in the United States Constitution it says that?
It wasn't in the Constitution.
It wasn't in the Constitution because they didn't believe it.
The founding...
You, sir, they did not put it in the United States Constitution. Let me answer another question. Let me ask you another question since you support. Allow him to have the mic. Let me ask you another question,
founding
sir.
fathers wrote many
what
other
does the
documents
phrase,
other than the United
sir,
States Constitution, and they made it explicitly clear that
what
they
does the
believe-
phrase "e pluribus unum" mean? What does the phrase "e pluribus unum" mean?
Why is that relevant?
Because it was on every founding
the
document
founding
and
fathers
presidential
wrote
seal
a
from our
litany of
founding,
documents
which means
stating
out
they
of
believe
many,
this country should
one.
be a
You, sir,
European nation.
and your ideology is not conservative. It is right-wing, identitarian. It has no place in the conservative movement, my friend. Get out of line. Get out of line. The number one objective of any social welfare program should be how do we keep the family together and put dads back in the family. That is the number one priority. We don't have to overthink it. Every number gets better for every community if dads are around. Every number gets worse when dads are not around. Unfortunately, in the black community, dads are the most absent of any community. About 2/3 of all black youth will be raised without a stable father around. And I know it's crazy, right? And that little precious angel of yours deserves to have a father around. And for daughters and for sons, it's different things. For a daughter, that's a father figure to look up to say that is how a man should act, and someone that I ought to one day marry, someone that will protect me from a vicious world, and someone that makes me understand what strength and not brutality looks like, what justice but not revenge looks like. To have a father figure is a silent way of forming a child to be a mature citizen. And unfortunately, as we've removed dads from families, government has come in and has taken the place. So some people need help and they need social assistance. All of that should be about incentivizing the dad staying around, not the dad leaving. Unfortunately, with welfare, you can get more money for single mother assistance. And so, you agree. We're actually subsidizing single motherhood more than we are subsidizing family formation. And so, I'm glad to hear about the Fatherhood Initiative, and if I may speak to the men out there, you are a coward and a petulant child if you impregnate a woman and abandon her. You have a moral obligation to stay with the women of your choosing, hopefully in the confines of marriage. This idea that men can just abandon women and leave the consequences without any responsibility has done such it's been a catastrophe for our country. So that's my answer, and I'll say this. The Democrat Party does not talk about dads at all. The Republican Party, we are talking about how men need to be men again, in the home, take responsibility, provide for your family.
I don't know why they got so much goddamn music. They want you to feel something so much that they make the music so loud. They ain't got to do all that. But he cut the beginning of this video off with Charlie introducing with a very happy smile with the baby. Oh, you got a beautiful little angel there. Let me tell you, ain't no racist white folks finna get ready to tell you your child beautiful. Right? This idea, you all look for reasons to be angry. You don't look for reasons to prove yourself wrong. Science is about disproving your theories. What true science is about disproving theories. The average person looks for confirmation bias. They do the opposite of a scientific mind. Your natural patterns is to look for information or evidence to confirm your bias. Science looks for evidence to disprove one's potential bias or theories. I think you all listen to me. Let me make this clear. I'm an intellectual. I respect intellectualism. I respect discipline. I respect principles. I do not align with human behavior. One thing about Black folks is they want to be perpetual victims. One thing about women is they want to be perpetual victims. I'm a scientist, okay? I have a scientific mind. Everything that I do is based on some form of science, whether it's chemistry, physics, biology, or any of that. As the author of the 5 Components of Love, I'm always going to seek understanding. The fact of the matter is, all you want to hear somebody do is feed your desire for somebody to be racist. I want you to understand one thing, and I'm going to make that clear. none of you Negroes would be free or have any of the privileges that you have if it wasn't for white folks helping you. The Underground Railroad could not have been a success without white people helping. Because if 100% of white people was on board, you would have still been in chains. Guaranteed. This idea where you want to believe that everybody is against you 100% of the time is just a mentality I ain't getting down with. I'm just not getting down with it. Like I said at the beginning of the show, what makes you think that if the average IQ score of Americans, the national average is 97, which is 3 points below the global average of 100, and you read and comprehend at a 6th grade level, at or below a 6th grade level, and then you couldn't see that Thanos was actually not the villain. He was the good guy. If you couldn't see that, and that, what makes you think that I'm going to side with you on your perspective on this Charlie Kirk situation? You emotional. My job here is to give you an alternative perspective that you are not capable of seeing on your own. I understand your feelings, but I'm beyond feelings, because the feelings of quote unquote racism has not inspired you to get your education. Your beliefs about racism has not inspired you to improve your reading comprehension. It has not inspired you to close your legs. It has not inspired you to open a business. It has not inspired you to do anything besides twerk and scroll all day. So if you think I'm going to take on the perspective of people who have not been inspired to improve their own lives on their own will with all of the privileges and tools at the tips of their fingers, I'm out on that. I'm completely out on that. I can't take your perspective because it's a lot of stuff that you can't see. And if you can't see the problems in your own life, I know you're not finna see this. If you're still debating on whether Thanos was the good guy or the villain, it ain't nothing to talk about. There's nothing to talk about here.
The love of my life. However, she's not where I am in my journey with Christ, and I want to have a marriage centered around Christ, and I want to know what are some of the best ways I can help guide her towards our Lord and Savior Jesus Christ so that we can share a happy future together.
It's a phenomenal question. What is her objection as to why she will not follow Jesus?
She doesn't really know how there can be a higher power when there's so much evil in the world.
So here's what you should say. Their evil cannot exist if there is no standard of good. She only knows something is evil because she believes there's a transcendent good.
Fact. If you didn't believe that there was good, then there would be no such thing as evil. Remember Vampire in Brooklyn? Evil. If every day was a sunny day, hey, right? So if evil is necessary, which means there's necessary evil, that means evil must be good. Remember that conversation? In order for you to notice evil, there would have to be good for you to be able to see that. Otherwise, things are just what they are, and it's nothing. But conscious awareness of behavior shows you that there has to be a polar opposite. Now, what you feel is right based on your feelings is objectively incorrect. Evil.
Evil does not exist. Evil is just an opinion if there is no God. Murder is not wrong if there is no God. Stealing is not wrong if there is no God. So the way to convince her of that is that you're not the first person to wrestle with the question of evil. The more important question is it actually evil? Or is it just an opinion? And we know as believers that there's an absolute standard above us that we appeal to. The Bible tells us two things. God will use all things for good for those who love him, Romans 12:2. But that might not satisfy her. Instead, the question of evil should be, we as Christians, we have to explain a couple things. It's really tough for us to wrestle with the fact that these girls are at Christian summer camp and they get washed away in a flood. It's tough, right? We have to explain child cancer and flooding and earthquakes. But the atheist, they have to explain everything else. They have to explain why we exist. What is love? What is mercy? Why is it that our universe came to being? Is there a standard of good? Is there a standard of evil? Just because there is evil does not mean there is no God. In fact, it means the only reason you know it's evil is because there's a transcendent, perfect standard of good, and that is God himself.
I'm lucky to have found the love of...
And see, that's an Joho or Ohoho is a perfect example of somebody not being able to listen. This is what I mean. Oh ho ho or oh Jojo, however I don't know if you're Mexican or you speak English. Oh ho ho or Jojo is that comment right there is a perfect example of somebody being so caught up in their feelings that they don't listen. She repeated, "What? So raping kids isn't evil unless God says so?" This is a perfect example of a lack of listening comprehension, right? Because that's not what he said. The awareness, the only reason, because he's battling an atheist. He's trying to prove, the man asked, how can I prove to my wife who's an atheist that there is a God? The answer to that is that there must be a God if she is aware of evil. Because without God, which is the enlightenment and the awareness and consciousness, then there would be no such thing as evil. Just like he said in Vampire Brooklyn, if every day is a sunny day, then what's a sunny day? You can't determine a sunny day unless it's snowing or raining. You have to have contrast. You have to have an opposite. If there is no good, then there is no evil. The fact that you can recognize evil tells you that there is good. Consciousness, awareness, God. That's what he said. And that right there, the inability to listen and comprehend is how people take things out of context, twist the narrative, and then speak falsehoods instead of, can you repeat that? I don't think I understood what you're saying. It happened right here in real time. Listen, and think about what you hear before you let your emotions and your feelings cause you to create a narrative and run with it. That person, the JoJo person, is so in their feelings and stuck on the point of view that they want to have that they not even listening to the words that's coming out of his mouth. And this is how it happened. This is how it happened.
My life. However, she's not where I am in my journey with Christ, and I want to have a marriage centered around Christ, and I want to know what are some of the best ways I can help guide her towards our Lord and Savior Jesus Christ so that we can share a happy future together.
It's a phenomenal question.
And all he did was answer the question to tell him how to show his wife a different perspective on good and evil, or God and no God. If every day is a sunny day, what's a sunny day? Ain't no such thing as a sunny day if every day is a sunny day. You need rain, sleet and snow and thunderstorms to be able to depict a sunny day. Right? That's how that go. Right. I thought this was funny. Now this ain't got this don't really have nothing. It has something to do with Charlie Kirk, but not quite. But I like how people don't take responsibility for their own behaviors and their actions.
I made some stupid comments about Charlie Kirk on the day that he was shot. I said some things on Blue Sky and on Threads that I'm sorry, not sorry for, but I said them and I deleted them when it was requested that I do so by my employer. And then today on a weekend, I'm told that I am no longer employed at Microsoft. After 6 years, building the diversity, equity, and inclusion department from scratch, I lose my job because one of you, some random person, reports my posts to my employer, goes out of their way to find out where I work and takes my job, takes my security away from me for a thought, for an opinion. And you talk about freedom of speech like you care about it. And you're just going to take my money, my life.
See, this is what I mean. This is what I mean. People, see, freedom. See, the people who came over here and established this country, they knew one thing: freedom ain't free. So when they built this republic, it was based on the principles of responsibility and conservatism. So when you got your right to bear arms and your freedom of speech, it was built on understanding that you had to have some self-discipline and control. The problem with people with the idea of freedom is that undisciplined and disrespectful people believe that freedom ain't got no consequences. They can do whatever they want to do, say whatever they want to say, and not experience any consequences to their behaviors. That's what they think freedom is. Freedom of speech, you are able to say what you want to say, but you are not free from the potential consequences that may ensue from that. Now, when you become an officer in the military, NCO, if you get into a position of leadership at any civilian job, you are held to a code of ethics and standards. You can't just do whatever the hell you want to do, and you just can't say whatever the hell you want to say. You got to now tailor your words. You got to now make sure you filter stuff down the chain of command. There's a lot of stuff that's on you when you become a leader, right? You have to think before you do. This is a lost piece of knowledge and information on the average person. It's a bunch of children running around here talking about freedom and they don't know what freedom is. Do you understand people pay the cost of their lives to be able to establish this idea of freedom that you just take for granted? Do you know that people paid with blood? They paid with blood. You cannot just do what you want to do and think it ain't gonna be no consequences. Because one thing about people, you don't control them. The people are the consequence. Instead of you getting on here saying inflammatory things and doing inflammatory things, you should have thought about your job, and you should have thought about the people, the emotionally unstable people in the world, but you don't have that knowledge. And you FAFO. You FAFO. And instead of taking full responsibility, you say, I lost my job because y'all went and reported me. They reported you because of what you did, which means that you are the catalyst for you losing your job. They was just a middleman. You started it. You started it. This is what they do. This is what emotionally unstable people do. But if you had any decorum, you wouldn't be saying inflammatory things at a sensitive moment like this. Because let me tell you something. Y'all didn't even see JFK get killed. You have not witnessed a public assassination ever. This idea that you can go around when you got phones, live recording, and people see this in real time, and it was uploaded in nanoseconds for the world to see. You've never witnessed a public execution, a public assassination. You've never witnessed this. And you take an opportunity at a very sensitive time to say inflammatory things, insensitive things, and you think that people ain't gonna respond? You don't get to control how people respond, just like they didn't get to control how you responded. It wasn't smart. It wasn't smart.
My food off my plate because I don't like Charlie Kirk? That's not okay. It is not okay to target me because I felt
it really wasn't okay for you to say the shit that you were saying in the middle of all this shit being sky high like it was, right? And why don't you like him? You don't even know why, because your feelings hurt. You can't even logically explain why you don't like him. You just don't like the shit that he was saying because your feelings was hurt. Y'all mama ain't never taught you if you ain't got nothing good to say or nothing nice to say, then don't say nothing at all. Nope, you just got to let everybody know how you feel. You just got to let everybody know the deepest, darkest thoughts at the most inappropriate times when ain't nobody ask you. Ain't nobody ask you how you fucking felt about Charlie Kirk. You just voluntarily got up there saying some shit at the wrong goddamn time. You didn't learn nothing in kindergarten. You didn't learn nothing in high school. You didn't learn anything about being a human, a decent human. You ain't learned nothing. You've never seen a public assassination on camera in real time. And somehow you got the nerve to, why everybody giving this so much attention? It was the school shooting that happened at the same time. Which one did you see? It's dumb to even try to compare the two.
I felt joy that day. I can't help how I feel. I felt joy. That's me. That's what I believe.
So you felt joy. You felt joy to see kids lose their father. You felt joy to see children lose their father in real time in front of you. And you think that a company would want to publicly associate themselves with somebody who blatantly verbalizes that. You should have kept your feelings to yourself, because ain't nobody asked you how you felt. But you just got to get up there and say something. And then y'all swear to God that you're righteous people, that you're good people. No, you lurking with evil. And guess what's the most evil? Ignorance and emotions combined. Combine ignorance with emotions and you got an evil person on your hands. You got a wicked person on your hands. Ignorance and emotionalism. No self-control. You just had to post that. You couldn't keep your mouth shut and tell yourself that in the mirror. And now you want to blame the internet because you lost your job. No, you lost your job based on your ignorant behavior. I just gotta watch him cry again. Like,
he posts to my employer, goes out of their way to find out where I work and takes my job, takes my security away from me for a thought, for an opinion. And you talk about freedom of speech like you care about it. And you're just going to take my money, my life, my food off my plate because I don't like Charlie Kirk. That's not okay. It is not okay to target me because.
So somebody say, so you think it's okay for for Charlie to say he don't trust black pilots? That's not what Charlie said. And this is exactly what I mean when people be taking stuff out of context. Charlie was having a discussion with somebody about DEI, and they brought up what was going on with the pilot situation, with the airlines. They were employed, about 8% of their airline was like black folks. What the airline wanted to do was use DEI to bring up the pilots to 50%, from 8% to 50%. If you watch airplane investigations like I do, then you would know it's a lot of pilots behind these cockpits that failed their training. And you wonder, how in the hell did you get behind the yoke? Charlie's comment was based on the practices that the airlines was about to do to take their employment rate of black pilots from 8% to 50%. That's a big jump. That's a big jump. In order to do that, you would have to now lower certain standards for that to be done. So his comment was based on that, not to say that I don't trust black people to fly. So y'all listen to clips of stuff, and then you change the wording to fit your narrative, because him saying he don't trust black pilots is not what he said. And it was not the context of the conversation that they was having. Let me finish hearing him cry.
I felt joy that day. I can't help how I feel. I felt joy. That's me. That's what I believe. That's what I think of him. I can't help that. So I don't deserve a job? I made some stupid comments.
Well, if your employer thought that you deserved to stay working there, they wouldn't have fired you. If they ain't see nothing wrong with your comments, then they wouldn't have fired you. Right? And here's the thing. People done took stuff that I done said completely out of context. Here's the thing. You, as a person that's behind the keyboard, y'all don't do this. See, you not up here recording nothing. You are behind a keyboard not getting your words twisted out of context. As a person who does this and who's constantly had their words taken out of context, who have also been studying and learning and know a lot of the same things Charlie knows, I know one thing. Don't just listen to clips. Don't listen to people who got 6th grade reading comprehension. Don't listen to how they perceive something and then go run with it. You got to listen to stuff for yourself. You got to listen to stuff for yourself. Y'all got a habit of hearing what you want to hear. Somebody just did it on the live tonight. They just did it live and in color. You all are notorious for taking stuff out of context to try to fit your narrative. Even with Charlie calling out the races. Oh, that's staged. That's staged. So you take stuff out of context, twist the narrative that fits you, and then the stuff that go against your narrative, you call it fake. You're cooked. Get ready to upload your digital IDs and get ready to be in your digital prison. Ain't no help for you. Ain't no help for you. Get ready to be in a digital prison. You are cooked. I don't believe that. That's staged. Why everything else you take out of context.
We can ask a question, and I want your opinion. Why is it that the single motherhood rate in Black America went from 25% to 75% over 50 years, where America did become less racist?
Like, why did it?
Yeah, so what caused Black America to go from one of the strongest nuclear family communities in the country to now the weakest by far?
I can't answer your question.
No, that's okay. No, that's great. And again, it's hard to get up and have these conversations. Here's my opinion. My opinion is that, yes, there was some social welfare that subsidized single motherhood, which means it's easier to get cash from the government if you say you are single than if you are married. I think we can agree that's stupid. That shouldn't happen, right? But I would love your perspective on this. Do you think in Black culture, getting married and staying with one woman for your entire life is elevated and celebrated?
No, not at all.
I think that's the problem.
I think the problem stems from a lack of education. I think these communities don't have. I don't think a lot of them have the proper education or learning from previous to realize what will lead them to a more successful future. I think that if we funded more education in these systems, then these men wouldn't be so focused on stuff like gang violence to get protection or money or
you have a great
stuff like that, and then end up in prison and then end up with their child having a single mother.
Fair enough. So
sorry, I didn't.
No, it's great. So there's a lot of examples that there's some merit to your argument, but it's more about the quality of education than the amount of money we spend on it.
Yeah.
Such as, that's why I'm a big proponent of school choice and educational vouchers and opposing the teacher unions. But the core is this, is that the number one predictor for a kid of any skin color, Black, white, Asian, Hispanic, is whether or not dad is around.
Right.
And I look, as an outsider, albeit, at current Black culture, right? From the athletes to the rap music to the music, I don't see the nuclear family elevated. Nor is it an internal Black cultural expectation. Now, I will ask some of the white individuals here in this audience, okay? If you guys got pregnant and all of a sudden you didn't even know who the father was around, how would your parents react? Not great, right? Yes? Unfortunately, in Black America, this is kind of accepted. Would you agree?
I can't say. I grew up around a lot of white people, so I can't say.
Okay. But it is a fact that it is accepted, right? So that's the problem. The problem is that it's a cultural norm that has then turned into the cycle of poverty. The cycle of poverty can break very quickly if fathers stayed with the women they impregnate. We can ask a question, and I want your opinion. Why is it that the single...
It's okay for black folks to say this, but don't let a white person say it because he racist if he say that. All I want you to do is point out where the lie is. Point out the lie. They want to be together. These males and females want to be together, but they don't want to be responsible. They like just screwing. Women don't like to be told to keep their legs closed. Women do not like to be told to close their legs. They actually had a fit about that. And they are not interested in actually getting married. They not. They're not. They love the hip hop music that continues to spew toxicity. They like that. All you got to do is point out the lie. That's all we got to do.
Because
why
it's
would you
true.
just walk up to someone and talk and attack their culture from the outside?
Well, hold
You
on.
can't
Because
talk about someone.
hold on. Let's look at the evidence. You said to myself, you said there's all these people suffering in Chicago. There's all these people that are terrible. I'm telling you why. It's because there's been bad decisions that have been institutionalized. Let me finish. And rap artists and athletes and people at the top level of black society that refuse to ever challenge the core rot in black America, which is that they are allowing degeneracy and hedonism to eat the soul of what once was a beautiful black culture, and instead they go around saying it's the boogeyman of racism, the white man is out to get you, and the result is black America is doing worse than it was in the 1960s. That is the contention, period. Because
why would you just walk up to someone?
I've been saying that the whole time that I was in the pro-black thing. I've been saying that same thing. I've been saying that same thing. Where is the lie? Where is the lie? The reality is, instead of looking at your own trajectory, you'd rather just be a victim. You'd rather just be a victim. Your communities don't look, your communities ain't up to par. You actually don't have a community. And he specifically said it. Hedonism. That's all y'all care about. Is getting y'all pleasures. Look, remember Timothy? Man, I'm not stopping my pleasures for another woman. He could have had a baby, or she could have got rid of it. Nah, I ain't gonna stop my pleasures. Come on. Come on.
You dropped out of college, and your highest
community college.
Your Harper College experience. I apologize.
Barely was smart enough to make it through community college.
Okay.
Now keep in mind, Kanye West got an album called College Dropout. People want to talk about Charlie Kirk dropping out of college, even though Kanye West got an album called College Dropout. And he most successful, and so is Charlie, or was Charlie, than all these people hollering about going to college. Right?
So,
barely
and
made it through high school,
your
too.
highest degree level is an honorary doctorate degree from Liberty University.
No, that's true. I do have an honorary PhD.
Yeah. So essentially, what are your qualifications for arguing that college is a scam, or really any having...
Wait a minute. This is why, look, that's the reason why college is a scam right there. That right there, that question that you asking is the reason that college is a scam. Because you're asking a person who created a business from scratch, who's been able to scale, market, build networks in real time while you out there catching debt and going to class in goddamn pajamas, not being able to see why he fucking qualified to say what he's saying. The fact that you can't see why he qualified to say what he say tell you that college is a scam.
Any economical knowledge at all, when likely the vast majority of the students here know more than you about economics as a whole.
Okay, so, no, hold on. It's okay, guys. It's okay. Who's Milton Friedman?
Who's Milton Friedman? I have no idea, and it's not important to this.
Look. Here go another one. I don't know who that is, and that ain't important. How you know it ain't important if you don't know? That first and foremost, you got to know he's asking you the question for a reason. In college, all you do is teach yourself. I went to college. I know. You practically teach yourself. And then they give you a bunch of expensive books that you got to read yourself. You don't need college to teach yourself, Dodo. So now he asks you about a book that you should know about in college, but you don't, but he do.
Conversation.
Who is Ludwig von Mises?
These are all probably economists, and the same
who
thing.
Who is John Maynard Keynes?
Okay, obviously I know who Keynes is.
Oh, obviously, yeah.
He's the most famous economist of all time.
You don't know Milton Friedman?
I mean, that's an economist.
Okay, how about Murray Rothbard?
That's another economist.
F.A. Hayek?
I don't know who that is.
Well, then you just...
Look, he didn't know none of the other people either. You just caught on to the fact that he asking you about economists. And the only reason that you caught on because you know the standard John Maynard Keynes. But you don't, so you just associated all the other, but you don't know them. You don't even know what they talking about. But you say all these kids, these students know more than he do. Yet you talking to him and he a multi-million-dollar business owner at 31 years old. Put some respect on him. Put some respect on it. Oh, no, you can't respect it because it's just a person you don't like. Now, you don't want to put no respect on it because you don't like Charlie. You just can't bow down to the fact that he started some shit and he doing better at 31, mastering all of the principles in action, and you just studying it. Okay.
I just came here and insulted my intelligence for... You're right, I barely made it through community college because I was too busy, starting a national youth movement with hundreds of thousands of members.
Hey, hold on.
Employing hundreds of people, raising hundreds of millions of dollars,
yes,
having a top 10 most popular podcast,
sure,
and reaching tens of millions of people online every day.
Sure,
but hold on.
But you're also calling all of your constituents idiots by saying they participate in a scam. Their shirts right there.
I'm calling the institution.
Look. You see how when people can't get their way and they start losing, and you see how they just shut down and just go into emotionalism? The fact of the matter is, he did start something from scratch. Last time I checked, your network is your net worth. You attract opportunities. Charlie didn't grow up with the opportunities. He got talent. He's a leader. He had the skills to attract and network. I don't know why y'all be so anti that at a higher level and y'all do it at a lower level. Ain't nobody complaining when you go in the drive-through line at McDonald's and get a free apple pie because you flirting with the chick in the damn drive-through. Your connection got you a free apple pie. Ain't you taking your boys up there to the donut shop? Man, I know this little chick that work, she'll get us some free donuts. You getting the same benefits. It's just that your friends is broke ass people. Your network is broke people that can only give you a free apple pie. You ain't got no millionaire friends that could give you, privileges and give you some money for your ideas. Sorry. Get some new friends. Get some ideas that you can market. Then y'all always got excuse. It's because he white. It's because he white. As if it ain't no black folks out here with good networks that got money. You just want to be victims forever.
In a scam.
So then
I never insulted the intelligence. I just had 10 people come up and we had warm conversations. So you asked, what are my qualifications? I'm a job creator, entrepreneur, autodidact. Do you know what that word means?
Autodidact, self-taught. Autodidact, self-taught. You know, you can teach yourself things.
Yeah, self-taught. You know, you should probably learn that word if you're going to come up and insult other people's intelligence.
Hey.
So autodidacticism is what Leonardo da Vinci was. You don't have to go to college to be wise. You don't have to go to college.
And that's what I've been telling people the whole time. Let me tell you something. Whitney Houston didn't need to go to no vocal coach to have the skill that she got. Julian Brown didn't need to go to nobody college to be able to build that machine that he got to turn plastic into gasoline. God give you your talents. God gives you your occupation. Man cannot give you your occupation. Man can't marry you and man can't give you your occupation. God give you that. You don't need no degrees to be wise. You don't need no degrees to be a master at your God-given talent or gift. He knew that, right? It's a lot. You're going to be hard pressed. You'll be hard pressed. See, girl, stop. School, the greatest school in the world is life, Dodo. Y'all going to schools of people who started the school and didn't go to school. The schools that you going to were started by people who didn't go to school. Life teach you. Life is the greatest school. The best lessons are bought lessons. A students work for C students. You ever heard that? A students work for C students. Point blank, period. That person in the comment section want to feel like she better than everybody because she went to school and she got to defend her degree. That's the reason why she's talking. Right? Fact of the matter is, the richest people, fact of the matter is, they ain't got all these degrees that you got. They college dropouts, a lot of them.
College to be intelligent. I read 100 books a year. I visit over 150 colleges.
I'm not saying you're unintelligent. I'm just saying you lack qualifications.
Well, are you a New York Times bestseller?
Of course not. I'm in college.
Got it. So I'm just trying. What are my qualifications?
People don't even understand your qualifications is your accomplishments and your experience. Sir, dude, you ain't even graduated from the college you going to, and you talking about what's your qualifications. The qualifications is the people who done it. The qualifications is the people who done it and doing it. I was taught in college that people, and it wasn't even college that taught me this. Actually, it was Kevin Trudeau. Kevin Trudeau. The people who can't do it teach. The people who ain't doing it teach. While the people who ain't teaching too busy doing it. The doers are not teaching the shit. The teachers are the ones that just got the theory. The business owners out here doing it. Most business owners didn't go to school. They started and they hustled their way. They sacrificed and they worked with blood, sweat, and tears to create the stuff that they created. They spent 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, sleeping, not sleeping, building their stuff while you sitting in class reading a book that you ain't never gonna use.
I have published books, read lots of books, dialogued with a lot of people, and instead of asking what my qualifications are, can you name one thing I've ever said that, hold on, name one thing I'm wrong about.
You literally just now incorrectly cited the difference between socialism and communism. While you yourself...
How so? What did I do?
How so? You claimed that Russia was socialist. Russia was never socialist. The Soviet Union was socialist. No, it was a communist nation. There is a significant difference between the two.
Why did Lenin say that socialism is the gateway to communism, and he was self-described socialist in his private treatise and documents in the Russian Revolution?
Lenin was overtaken by Stalin.
Hold on a second. No, Lenin died, and then Stalin was his successor.
Yes.
But Lenin himself said, quote, that socialism is the introductory phase to communism. Did he not say that?
So then the vast majority of people, when they're referring to communist Russia, are referring to Stalin's rule over Russia. That was a communist rule that turned into a fascist rule later on.
Okay, so but what thinker was deified in Soviet Russia?
What thinker was deified?
Yes.
Marx.
Oh, and what book did Marx write?
Yes, he wrote Capital, and he also wrote the Communist Manifesto.
Who was his co-author?
Who was co-author?
Yeah, Engels.
Look, this a college dropout handling this college kid. This a college dropout handling this college kid. I don't care what none of you say about Charlie Kirk. The boy was intelligent. He was learned. He was studied. And people hate that. People who base everything on their feelings hate an educated, intelligent person. Because an intelligent person ain't stomping on no, they not walking on eggshells. They have to tell the truth, and the truth you just don't like the truth. Truth ain't pretty.
It's good. I'm glad college is really paying off for you.
Hey.
But it's okay. It's fine. He comes up here and insults my intelligence. What are your qualifications? Doesn't even know the co-author of the Communist Manifesto or Das Kapital. But no, let me just...
But does my lack of knowledge on that mean that I have no knowledge? Again, is that the same thing? You came up here and
insulted me. And you came up here guns a-blazing, man. And let me just ask, again, what did I say that was wrong? I said that under the generally agreed upon definition of communism and socialism, which are interchangeable terms, one is a more harsh degree of the other, is that the elimination of the family, the elimination of private property, and the deprivation of basic human rights such as right to speech, right to assembly, and right to worship. How is that not a good definition of communism or socialism?
That explains
the
fascism better.
Well, but in the Communist Manifesto, Marx said, quote, "We are here to destroy the nuclear family and eradicate the family because it was the original oppressive tyrannical structure." He said religion is the opiate of the masses and that private property must be eradicated. I have just now documented all three of those with evidence back to original source documents. And then in practice, Russia did all those three things when they were the Soviet Union. So where am I wrong?
But then at the same time, if you claim that those are all negative things, then why do you practice certain things in the doctrines that you just stated?
Well, I'm not trying to take people's stuff away. I want people to have bigger families, and I want churches to remain open.
Yeah, but the thing is your biggest point that everyone here is for is that you're a potential white supremacist. So
What evidence do you have that I'm a racist?
I was just literally watching a video of you talking about whiteness as a whole, talking about whiteness as a concept, okay? And you were trying to explain how white privilege doesn't exist.
Correct, it doesn't.
You are a white man. How do you know?
Because I have eyes.
Because you have eyes. That's
and
not
I
a description.
Reason. So what can a black person do that I can't do in America? Or
What can a
vice
black
versa?
person do?
What can I do a black person can't do?
And that's where I disagree. Because everybody got privilege that they can't see. You cannot ask privileged people if they got privilege. Everybody's going to say that they don't have privilege. Listen to me. It doesn't matter if it's a white person, don't matter if it's a black person. Everybody, male or female, everybody has a privilege that they're blind to. You can't ask blind people, can they see anything? You are accustomed to growing up with most of your basic needs being met and access to plenty of privileges, access to plenty of entertainment, plenty of clubs, whatever beverages you want. But you don't know that that's not the norm. You don't know that the way that you're living in the United States is completely abnormal. It's unnatural. But you don't know how unnatural it is. You don't understand how many privileges you have. Because this is a norm for you, the only thing that you can think about is the lack of your wants. But you ain't really supposed to even be living like you living. You don't know that though. Humans are unable to pinpoint their privileges. And the only way that you can pinpoint a privilege is if you honestly line yourself up and compare yourself with people with reality in nature and people who have not been so lucky to have what you have. That's the only way you can actually be honest about your privileges. Is if you look at the world how it's supposed to be without all this shit. And then with all of it, comparing yourself to people who don't have it. Right? That's just the bottom line. Privileged people are blind to their privileges. To say it ain't no white privilege is a blatant lie. For black folks to say that they ain't got black privilege, that's a lie. For a man to say that he don't have male privilege, that's a lie. For women to say they don't have female privilege, that's a lie. All y'all got privileges that you're blind to. The reason that you blind to it is because you want a perfect world for you. You want a world that caters to every single thing that you want, and you don't have it. So you look at somebody else that has what you want, and you ignore the things that you have. So you think you don't have no privilege. But yes, you do. You're just not looking at it in the right perspective. All of y'all got privileges, especially if you're in the United States. If you're in the United States, you definitely got privileges. Don't matter your race, gender, or your sex, you all got privileges. Right? Yes, black privilege. Where would you be if your ancestors didn't fight for you? Where would you be? Because you didn't fight for none of the privileges that you have. None of them. Not a single one. I do want you to understand that the human race is a slave race. The entire human species is a slave species. You are born slaves. I want you to tell me, if your ancestors did not fight and lose their lives for the privileges that you have, what would you be living like? Because if you don't think being able to go to school, being able to read, write, and educate yourself, if you don't think that's a privilege, then you got it twisted. Because you didn't earn none of the things that you're able to do, not a single one of them. You haven't done anything. Nothing. Right? I want you to tell me what you able to do freely that your ancestors wasn't able to do. And I don't mean black folks was born to be slaves. I meant humans, the human species is a slave species. Listen, if you came in late, I don't really care about what you feel. Because your feelings is anti-reality. If you missed my Thanos explanation, don't even worry about what you're talking about. Humans are unable to decipher right from wrong, good from evil. You have
White privilege doesn't exist.
Correct.
You have no concept of right, wrong, good, and evil. What is this doing?
It doesn't.
You are a white man. How do you know?
Because I have eyes.
Because you have eyes. That's
And
not
I
a
have
description.
reason. So what can a black person do that I can't do in America? Or
What can a
vice
black
versa?
person do?
What can I
So,
do a black person can't do, I
Let's
should say?
think of some history right here. Let's go through the history of redlining.
I don't need a history. I don't need
Yes,
listen.
no,
you're talking about
you
white
do
privilege.
need a history lining. Clearly, you need a history
I know your
lesson.
talking points better than you do, and I've read all the literature that you have. I've probably forgotten more about the literature.
History affects the present day as well, and you know that's true. If you went to college, you would know.
Well, hold on a second, but let me.
So then why are you wearing the college as a scam shirt? Drop out.
Well, because you could.
So it's because you don't believe your own beliefs, and that's what I'm saying.
Well, you can admit something's a scam and still get through it. That's why he's wearing it. Okay.
Why?
You could feel like you're getting ripped off by an airline
But
and still want to get to New York.
that's not what we're talking about.
I don't understand what the argument is. I don't understand what the argument is because there's several people talking about they went to college and is in all this debt and they can't even get a job with the degree they went and got. Most people who go to college ain't even in the field that they went to college for. So most people just argue with their feelings. They don't have no ability to be objective. Zero. You can still go to school and be so happy with your piece of paper. But the fact of the matter is, most of you not even using it for what you went for in the first place. So now you got to pay these predatory loans that never go down, right? For some shit that you ain't even using.
Anymore.
Like you're like, I'm getting ripped off by $1,000 ticket, but you still get on the airplane. Like it doesn't make you a hypocrite. It means that the people are ripping you off, and a lot of you are getting ripped off. But no, so as far as white privilege, just without the history lesson of, Jim Crow, segregation, imperialism, colonialism, slavery, all the stuff that I know that you're going to say, but just concretely in America today, what can a white person do that a black person can't do?
Black applicants to jobs are 50% less likely to get jobs if they have a black-sounding name.
That's not even close to being true. That's not even close to being true.
That is a literal...
It's true.
In fact, it's the opposite.
It's true.
I'm not going to argue your lived experience. I'm not going to... No.
See, now you have to listen to him under your rules because a black person is going to say you're wrong.
I am. He can say I'm wrong. I know.
Come on up to the mic.
I know. I read your.
My name's Keemon Dixon. I have a really black name. Please tell me how 50% of my internships have been denied when I've worked for Senator Mike Lee, Mayor Trent Sachs, Speaker Mike Schultz.
Hold on.
I've worked for Congressman Burgess Owens. I've actually worked on his campaign. I've worked on the campaigns of John Huntsman Jr. Please tell me how my black experience and my black name has not given me shit. Go ahead.
So now this what I want to say. This what I want to say in regards to that. If you are a chick or a male, that when somebody say women are this or males are this, and you bring your ass out there and say not all, because you're trying to protect your ego, that's the same situation that happened here. That's the problem. You all don't see things collectively. You don't see things outside of your own damn perspective. You base things on your personal experience. So if you are one of those chicks that says not all chicks or not all women or not all men, you actually don't get a chance to even say nothing about this. You can't call him a token or nothing because you are one of those ones that like to base the entire gender on you. You do the same exact shit that boy just got up there and did. No, that's not true because I got a black sounding name and I done work for all these people. Y'all do the same shit. If I say women are narcissists and want to be the center of the universe and want to own and control Peter Wacker, you'll get up here and say, not all us, I'm not like that. Well, what make you different from this guy? Now, if you can't understand my argument, it is because American IQ scores average at 97, and IQ tests for pattern recognition. If you can't connect the dots and see the patterns in all things, you will confuse yourself as to why you saying not all men and not all women ain't the exact same shit that he just got up there and did. It's the exact same thing. It's the exact same mentality. So now you're going to have to pick one. You can't pick and choose when it's appropriate and when it ain't. You're going to have to pick a side. Either you can cherry pick and base the entire statistic based on your personal experience, or you don't. And then I play these two videos, and this would be, or maybe these three videos. I play these three videos, and this will be it.
If Bibi Netanyahu, if he does something I don't like, and if I criticize it, am I like a bad Christian?
Absolutely not.
What I find strange is that we're able to criticize the American government sometimes in the Christian world with more freedom than the Israeli government. To be pro-Israel means you believe in the nation of Israel, not necessarily the government of Israel. When Joe Biden was president, you and I we loved America, but we detested our government. And those two things beautifully coexisted.
Yeah, you never once said, "Hey, I'm out on
America."
On
of
America,
course it was the opposite.
Exactly.
And what they don't want is they don't want to be called bad Christians if they challenge a foreign government, which is what happens so often.
Right.
Like, you're a bad Christian if you have a question about a foreign government.
Right.
That creates backlash that I don't think people understand. If Bibi Netanyahu...
And if we go dark, I'll put all those things out there.
Yeah.
How did these guys not know this was taking place?
So I've been to Israel many times. The whole country's a fortress. When I first heard this story, I still had the same gut instinct that I did initially. I find this very hard to believe. I've been to that Gaza border. You cannot go 10 feet without running into a 19-year-old with an AR-15 or an automatic machine gun that's an IDF soldier, right? The whole country is surveilled. And so let me just kind of go through this. We don't talk about Israeli politics very often, and most Americans don't know this. The last 9 months, Israel is on the brink of civil war. It's not an exaggeration. This judicial stuff, there were hundreds of thousands of Israelis taking to the streets because Bibi Netanyahu was basically redefining the Israeli constitution. That's not an exaggeration, right? He said the judicial branch has too much power. There were protests planned this week against Netanyahu, where they anticipated tens of thousands of people to take to the streets. That's all gone, Patrick. Netanyahu now has an emergency government and a mandate to lead. I'm not willing to go so far that saying that Netanyahu knew or there was intelligence here. But I think some questions need to be asked. Was there a stand down order? Was there a stand down order? 6 hours? I don't believe it. Israel's the size of New Jersey. When I took a helicopter ride from Jerusalem to the Gaza border, it's 45 minutes. Wow. 6 hours. They're live streaming the killing of Jews. Did somebody in the government say stand down? That is a legitimate non-conspiracy question. The whole country is the IDF. The whole country is. Yeah. And you're trying to tell me that they're going to concerts and kibbutzes and schools and by reports 6 hours. Let's say it's 3 hours.
That's suspect. Go ahead, Rob.
It's also not like a right-wing reporting. This is from the New York Times. The long wait for help as massacre unfolds in Israel. I can't think of a more liberal news outlet than the New York Times.
And by the way, I'm actually very pro-Israel. So let me be very, so I'm not exactly.
I think we all are.
No, I just want to make sure my position is clear here. But so Patrick, there are other explanations. It's possible that the Netanyahu government was double-crossed by bad agents. Okay? That's dark, but it's not as dark as what we're talking about. Okay? Another aspect is that Netanyahu might have traitors in his government, like legitimate traitors that have infiltrated. I was texting with some senior people in the IDF, and they said, Charlie, can't say too much, but let's just say the same problem you have with the left in America, we have here in Israel. So there's something to think about. Just something to think about, right? Is that maybe there's some people within those intel agencies that aren't as sympathetic. Or maybe, Patrick, maybe they might have gotten a tip. They might have gotten whispers, but no one thought it would be 1,200 Jews dead. That's a potential, right? Because here's the essence of it. The essence is this. This is the closest thing to the Holocaust that any of us have lived through. But the fact is now Bibi and the Israeli hard right government has a mandate. I got to be careful the way I say this. They're going to try to ethnically cleanse Gaza. Yep. I mean, I don't use that term lightly, okay? They're talking about basically removing 2.5 million people from there, okay? And honestly, they have a mandate to go seek justice and revenge. They do. This idea that they need to have a truce or a peace treaty, that's morally crap after you see women and children be burned alive and dragged to the streets. But there are some serious questions here, Patrick. And let me tell you, my pattern recognition over the last 5 years has become pretty sharp. COVID, Maui fires, Epstein. When I see a story and it doesn't click, our guts are usually right.
And if we go dark, I'll put all those things out.
And one thing a friend sent to me, interestingly, which is, okay, Charlie, we've pushed back against the media on COVID, on lockdowns, on Ukraine, on the border, so maybe we should also ask a question. Is the media totally presenting the truth when it comes to Israel? Just a question, that maybe we shouldn't believe everything the media says, because I know I've been conditioned to ask a lot more critical questions over the last couple of years. So, Ben, some people would accuse Israel of wanting to ethnically cleanse. Now, Bibi and the Israeli hard have a mandate.
So there you have it. There you have it with them final videos. You can come to your own conclusions about that. But what I want to say, somebody say, why didn't you talk about how his point of view on that? I thought that I already covered the fact that humans have egos. Every human has an ego that they have to confront. That's a fact. You all don't see your own, you don't see your own selves along with other people. Nobody on this planet is God. And you have to understand, a lot of times in these debates, a lot of times the angle is to win outside of just educating. You're still dealing with a human. So when he said ain't no white privilege, I already told you that privileged people can't see their privilege. And the ultimate objective for humans is automatic ego protection. Simple as that. The key is, if you in a debate with somebody, you supposed to be able to call a person out on it. If you ain't smart enough to be able to pick up and call them out, because if I was debating him, I would have been able to call him out on that. I would have been able to say, hold on, you're now cherry picking to paint a narrative because you want to exclude all of these things that you know leads to white privilege, like redlining, all of these things. The person he was debating wasn't smart enough to tell him that you can't exclude things to win your debate, right? You have to understand that in debate, you're supposed to also win an argument. You can debate to teach, you can debate to win. If you put a person in the corner to debate to win, you better be ready to box back. The person he was talking to was unable to call him out on the fact that you're creating a specific scenario so that you can win. But if you include those things that led up to where we are now, you can call those things out. And then if he was real smart, if he was real smart, because if it was me debating Charlie Kirk, when that boy would have got up there and said, well, I got a black sounding name, blah, 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 I would have said, Charlie, this one of these DEI hires you be talking about. This the DEI, how you know he even qualified to do this? They can't hire everybody with a name like this. I can't even pronounce his name. I'd have said something slick like that, because I would have called Charlie Kirk in to talk about the things that he always speaks about, which is DEI, connected them to. But the boy came and saved Charlie, like, yep, there you go. You got to be skilled to debate people like Charlie Kirk. You can always point a hole in somebody's point of view if you knowledgeable enough. But to say in a debate that, because he said that he was racist, not necessarily. Not necessarily. Because all he did was shape the argument in order for him to win. When these college students should have been skilled enough to be able to fire back. And he would have walked back a little bit. He'd have walked back a little bit. It's a debate. But you can't now take that, because like I say, y'all like to cherry pick too. Because with those other videos, that's staged. That's not real. Him calling out the racists, that was staged. That was orchestrated. But then you cherry pick, well, he said this. You flip shit out of context, make up stuff so that you can paint the narrative. You can't actually say what he says that is actually racist and stand on that with logic, rationale, and fact. You have to omit, cherry pick, flip stuff out of context, and then accuse things of being fake in order for you to maintain your position. If that's how you gonna operate, I can't talk to you. You emotional. You're emotional. Hey, I won the debate against Candace Owens. Being able to see how she flips shit, right? Doesn't mean a person is a bad person. But at the end of the day, the objective is to win your argument. The objective is the argument. You got to know how to win your argument. The fact of the matter is, most people who talking stuff don't know enough to be able to counter argue. And most people ain't listening to what the person is saying. All they want to do is hurry up and talk. But if they was listening, he would have been easily able to say, okay, so you have to now create a specific scenario to paint the illusion of no white privilege. But do you think those behaviors, I'd have been able to bring up human behavior and everything. I would have been able to also bring up the fact that here's the thing. People do business with people they like, know, and trust. People do business with people who are like them. So if that's the case, which it is, that means that people who look like you, think like you, or mirror you in some way are more likely to do business with you and give you deals that they wouldn't give somebody else. Which would mean what you would think is not white privilege is actually a privilege because you're privileged to be in a race of people that look like you that have more opportunities, right? That's just the reality of the situation. But the people who he was talking to wasn't smart enough to address that reality. Right. I wish I had an opportunity to talk to him too. Right. But he would have had, it would have been a difficult thing because most of the stuff that he say, I agree with. So I would have had to find something to debate. And it would have had to be something that he would have said that would have triggered me to have to, because I don't sit up here and just listen to people and just study and say, oh, I want to debate them. Oh, I can get them on this. I only know a couple of videos. I only use a couple of videos that Charlie Kirk had out there. I never watched none of these debates or anything. So I only knew of a few things that he said that I would use to teach my students certain things based on just a couple of clips. But all this stuff, I didn't see all this stuff here until after he died. And when I listened to it, I was like, shit, I agree with that. I agree with that. I agree with that. Damn, I found myself agreeing with 98.97% of the things that he said. I only disagree with a couple of things, and that was one of them. Because I knew that ego was at play right there. I know his ego had got bruised. But in reality, there are a lot of things that Black folks can do that they just not doing. That they just not doing. I should have shown the Oxford debates. You got to show them to me first. You know, I just wrote 2 books. You know how much time it takes to write 2 books? Not only am I writing 2 books, I'm packing up to move. Right? Not only that, I'm working on a speech. Okay? Because I have a speech that I gotta do live. And I got to have it memorized. I'm doing a lot of things that require my attention on what I'm doing than to be sitting up here scrolling and scavenging the internet all day looking for stuff. So what I have is things that I ran across that I just put in my save thing. And I say, you know what? And on top of that, it's 1:30 in the morning. I've been talking to y'all for 3.5 hours. 3.5 hours. Right? How much more you want from me? Right? How much more you want? I think I gave you a pretty good dose of things. I'm not going to sit up here till 5 o'clock in the morning just talking to you because you want me to say things that make you feel justified in how you feel. Sweetie, we don't have the same point of view. We ain't never going to have the same point of view. It's just that. You're looking for confirmation bias. You just want to feel like somebody was out to get you. And you want to feel like somebody was a racist so you could feel justified in disliking them and hating them. I'm an intellectual, sweetie. I'm an intellectual and I like principles. I resonate with principles. I resonate with intellectualism. I resonate with thinking. I resonate with discipline. I resonate with leadership principles. And when I hear that, and I see that in action, man, when I hear objectivity, when I hear facts, I hear it. But I also know how to look at things from the right perspective, right? I know how to look at things from the right perspective. Again, I'm going to say this, I'm going to say it, right? I'm going to say this again. People who think Thanos was the bad guy, you don't have no jurisdiction, right? I don't resonate with people who can't get their act together. I don't resonate with victims. You're never going to get me to side with you, right? Now, you can go group up with your pity party somewhere else, but I'm not here for it, right? So, like I say, rest in peace, Charlie Kirk. It was a great mind. It was a great thinker. And I hope that more of y'all can access your thinking capabilities. I hope more of you can be disciplined. And I hope more of you stand on principles that allow you to achieve greatness in this life. I hope you get it, okay? But asking me to get on the pity party and the hate train to jump on your side of racism and wanting to be a victim, I'm sorry, I'm just out on that. Humans have a lot of growth that you have to do, and all of you, every race, every ethnicity, every human is jacked up in one way or another one. There is no utopia, and I don't base my perception on reality as if there is a utopia. Let me tell you something. I want to say this before I leave. The greatest peril outside of ignorance and irrational emotionalism is the search for a utopia. If you want to create a utopia, that means that you have to exclude people who don't fit in the utopia. You have your idea of a utopia too. And your utopia excludes people. This idea that you think you know what's the right thing, you don't. Your utopia also excludes people. Right? You don't even hang out with certain people. You don't like people. And if people put power in your hands, you would exclude people. You would get rid of people. That's what the search for a utopian society does. You have to pull the weeds, and there are always going to be people that don't fit into the narrative. Always. So, this idea about racism and all this stuff, as long as you're looking for a utopia, you better get ready to accept the fact some of y'all gonna be excluded on some pretense and some basis. Point blank, period. And everybody's gonna be back right where they started at, right here, right now, having the same complaints. So what I'm telling you to do is just get your act together. Stop worrying about if somebody like you. Stop with the whole group think crap. Be an individual. Get yourself together. Everybody, every human is screwed up. Every race, every ethnic group, every gender, you're jacked up. And you can improve yourself. Right? Rhea, I want you to please stop addressing me because you came in here late and your narrative is off. Your narrative is not correct. And I already addressed that 3 hours ago before you came in here. Right? I'm sorry that y'all think I'm supposed to be whatever you want me to be. That I'm supposed to hold every single view that you hold. That I'm supposed to feel like you feel. Ladies, for the last time, you notice I ain't been over here in a month and a half. Right? I ain't not been on YouTube in a month and a half. And one thing is because women, you're emotional. Nobody can speak logical or rational sense to you on no topic. On 0 topics can anybody speak any logical or rational sense to you. You are anti. You are anti-intellectualism. You're anti-fact. You anti-structure. You anti-anything that brings into question your morality, your emotionalism, all that. And you want to be perpetual and eternal victims. And I'm on leadership. I'm on leadership stuff. I always have been. And you really want to talk about him saying that black women ain't got the processing power? You don't want me to comment on that. You absolutely do not want me to comment on that. Because what y'all done showed me about your processing capabilities on basic stuff, you do not want me to make no comment on that. Just leave that alone. Just leave that alone. Just leave that alone. I do not resonate with a lot of y'all belief patterns. I don't resonate with how you see life. I don't resonate with your desire to want the soft life. I don't resonate with your victimhood. I don't resonate with your excuses. I don't resonate with your out of control sexual behaviors. I don't resonate with a lot of that stuff that y'all be on. I don't resonate with the come rescue me damsel in distress mentality. I don't. But you're still on that mess, a lot of you. You don't want me to make a comment on that. Okay. Because I done came to conclusion. Remember when y'all got mad at me when I said I had compassion for males? And the reason that I had compassion for males, because I felt like they was incapable, that they was born handicapped and couldn't do it. And I was hard on y'all because I felt like you could do it. And y'all was mad at me for being hard on you, and you wanted me to have the compassion for you that I had for males. I want you to know that I got the compassion for you that I got for males. My compassion for women is the same exact compassion that I got for males. I have come to the conclusion that most of y'all can't get it and can't do it and won't do it. And I understand that it's just something that is just not within your capabilities to do. So I have to give you grace and I have to give you understanding that these things, these concepts are hard. And I'm expecting too much from most of y'all. I got to lower the standard. Y'all didn't like when my standard for you was too high. You said I was being mean. You said I hated women because I had my standards for y'all so high. And y'all wanted me to have compassion, the compassion that I have for males. Y'all wanted me to have the compassion for you that I had for males. And now I have that. I understand that the stuff that I'm thinking that women should be able to do, I finally understand that most women ain't gonna be able to do it. They're not capable. Just like men ain't capable. They're not. And so I'm giving you grace and latitude in the mistakes that you make, the repetitive stuff that y'all do, the fact that these conversations like this, that y'all gonna be emotional and not get the point. I get it. I'm not expecting you to understand nothing that I'm saying no more. I'm not expecting you to unlock different perspectives in your mind. I'm not expecting that. I'm just saying I'm not there with you. I'm not resonating with that. Right? That's all I'm saying. But anyway, life, times are changing. Things are getting crazy out here. Okay. You got to have some discipline. You got to put your thinking caps on, and you got to strategize with how you live your life, because you can't just live it willy-nilly no more. Right? You can't just do the things you was doing. You got to actually put some thought behind the things that you're going to do, your next steps. Right? Get your relationships on board. Right? Atone for anybody you hurt. Go atone for it. Right? Try to be a better person. Right? Try to be able to govern your emotions, because at the end of the day, you're going to have to deal with people that you might have burned bridges with. Right? You gotta start healing yourself and your connections with other people, because at the direction we're going, you're going to need community. It's simple as that. All right. But anyway, y'all have a good night. Next time.